Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. So most awaited day of this year for Firefly Aerospace has come, and now we will be seeing their first ever attempt to the orbit. That too in a live stream. How cool is that? I just don't have any words. So, how are you all guys? Hi Yehuda, hi Scott, hi Anna. Why have launches occurred the last two times I have turned the TV off? Okay, hi Anrov. Yes, I am looking so much forward to this launch. I haven't slept all night, and it's right now 5 a.m. and I know this launch will go on till 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, and I will not be sleeping. So pardon me if my energy is low for today. So there could be some instances where I feel like kind of sleepy or sort of that thing. So pardon me for that. Otherwise, this is a rocket launch. I'll be pumped up with the energy. So um, let's talk about this company, right? This is a very interesting company. This rocket company, Firefly Aerospace, has been in the news for so long, and they started way back in 2011, I guess, and they went bankrupt in between because of the Brexit issue. One of their investor pulled off, and they were not able to, make out of it. And they not only deal with launch services, okay, they have this huge number of things going on right now. If I can just pull out those things here, okay, maybe you can see from here only. Uh, Yes, okay, okay. Let's see the first thing. So this is their Alpha rocket, which we all know, right? Wait a sec. This is their Alpha rocket, which we all know. This is the lunar lander on which they are working on uh, to make this thing go into space. This is the Firefly Beta launch vehicle, which will have more capacity. This is interesting. The Firefly Gamma launch vehicle. This is a two-stage or two orbit. This is a orbital tug which they are making. So they are actually just going on, this company is dealing with everything, dealing in everything. The Alpha rocket will be their first attempt, and this is a attempt, you can say, for the, uh, since this is a first attempt and this is a liquid fueled rocket, all liquid fueled rocket without any heritage from any of the, previous families. So this will be a very interesting launch to see, but nevertheless, I must say this thing that don't have any high expectations as of now, because this is the first launch, and you know how the rockets work, and space is very hard. And I salute these guys from Firefly Aerospace that they're literally live streaming their first launch. And will they be able to make it to the orbit and become the first rocket to do so in its first attempt? I would say the first liquid fueled rocket to do so first attempt. Will that happen? That would be interesting to see. Okay. Now let's have we can, talk about a lot about these things. They have this Alpha, which I told you. This is the rocket which will be going the lunar lander. Yes, they are working with NASA to support the Artemis missions, and this is not an HLS mission, obviously. These are the landers which will, take the cargo to the lunar surface. And the Beta, which is a Beta rocket, which is actually a heavier rocket, around 8-ton capacity to Leo. The Gamma is kind of an interesting reusable rocket, which you just saw. Yes, this is a rocket. It looks like a space shuttle, or a dream chaser, but this is something which is very, game changing reusability, as they say. And then we have the space utility launch vehicle, which you can see right now. This is nothing but an orbital tug, in which you can house the payloads or the CubeSats, and it will, take it to a designated orbit and then deploy. And then the dream is kind of, you can say, a thing which is going to the space today only, and they have this, can kind of say that this is like, a club for the future, for the Blue Origin. Like, they have this club for the future, and for Blue Origin, the Firefly has this dream, and this dream is actually a very, you know good initiative from them. They are actually making space accessible to everyone. There are so many open source, organization which are which gives services to free for everyone, but they obviously can't afford to give make the to have the satellites in space. There are so many radio astronomers and all those things. So to cater to all those needs, Dream is, you can say, a non-profit organization which they learn, and in from which you can literally send anything to space, but you just need to convince them that you are really passionate about what you are doing. So this is what they are doing for the first launch also. Dream payloads, there are so many payloads which are going, which normally people can't afford to go, but here they are going. So now let's have a look at the Alpha rocket, how the things look like with the Alpha rocket. So this is a very cool rocket. This runs on, first of all, this runs on, you can say, four Reaver engines. You can see here four Reaver engines, the first stage, and the first stage has fuel as LOX and RP1. This runs on tap off cycle, which means it is a simpler cycle than other cycles, but tap off cycle has this uh, limitation that it is very hard to ignite, but easier to operate. So that's why when you will see the ignition on this rocket, you will see a lot of T-tap flowing, because you can say kind of they're compensating the hardness for igniting by providing more ignition fluid. So will be a lot of T-tap which you will be seeing at the time of ignition. And why T-tap? Because the LOX and RP1 is the fuel of the rocket. There are four Reaver engines, each produce a thrust of around 736 kilonewtons, and not each. This is, I think, this is the combined thrust, and the ISP is 295 seconds, which is good. You can say the main highlighting factor for this is this one: the payload to low Earth orbit is 1,000 kilograms, and the payload to sun synchronous orbit is 630 kilograms, which is kind of double for what a electron rocket, which is also catering to the small set market, can launch. So this is not a small sat rocket, you can say, but a small to medium sat launcher. And that's why literally what you are seeing right now is the painting scheme which they have on the rocket. Okay, they literally have done the paint job on the rocket to make it more beautiful, and they can afford to do that because they have a slightly higher payload capacity, so they can play around with the payload penalty that they will get with the paint job. And I don't think so that is huge. Now talking about the second stage, this is the second stage. This has a one Lightning one engine, also runs on LOX RP1, same cycle, and this has a thrust of 70 kilonewtons. And if I will just click on this, so you will be able to see us, a deeper version, or you can say the cross-sectional version of this rocket. But before that, let's have a look at this thing. This is the payload fairing. As the you can see the acoustic damping and the thermal protection system, which is very much needed in every fairing, because acoustic, because it has to go with the all those launch vibrations and everything, which can literally kill you if you are close standing close to the rocket. So they are very harmful, so you need some acoustic damping for that. The thermal protection system, obviously, that's what fairings do. They kind of many rocket companies call them heat shields also. So yes, and this is their payload adapter, in which you can kind of have those main payload as well as many other payloads to go. And this is how the second stage looks like. The oxygen tank and the fuel tank. Here also you can say this is the oxygen tank and the fuel tank, and then the engines. The structure uses the carbon fiber. As you can see, carbon fiber is the most used what should I say, body structure which is used in the rockets, because it is lightweight and is very, very, very strong indeed to do the job. So that is the thing. I think that sums up pretty much all about what we need to know about the rocket itself. If you have any questions, you can surely ask me. Let me see if you have anything and answer them. Okay. Let me first of all see whether we will be having Um, are we good? Or I don't know what is going on in the chat. Hi, Devpratim, how are you? Okay, I asked this question regarding. Okay, I don't know what is going on in the chat, but if you have any rocket questions, you can surely ask me. Otherwise, I can proceed because we do have other things to have a look at. So this is the rocket. So let's have a look at the scale of the rocket. So first of all, the dimensions of this rocket you can see here. This is overall 29 meters in length or 95 feet in length, and the diameter of the stage 1 and stage 2 is almost 1.8 meters. So it's kind of, you can say, a sleek looking rocket. And yes, which is also evident from this fact. Here you can see the comparison of the rocket and the human is also for this scale. And thanks to Stanley Creative for providing this wonderful infographic. You can see the scale actually. So Electron is, we say that Electron is a very, small set launcher, but you can see the the scale for the humans for the Electron rocket only. And then this is the Firefly rocket. So the Electron rocket payload capacity is half of the that of the Firefly. And um, kind of, you can say that it is double the length and double the diameter, but that that is not how the rocket scales up. But okay, kind of, you can say that. So this is what we have. Okay, now the next one, the next thing are the payloads, I mean, which we will be seeing for this rocket. Okay, and once we have time, after discussing the payloads and everything, we will switch over, we will switch to see what other rockets and other things they have in plans. So, the payloads, there are many payloads going to space today, and most of them are from the Dream only, which means they are providing free services to space. Obviously, this is the first launch. Nobody will expect them to at least, kind of make to the orbit in the first attempt, but we can have our some hopes that this will succeed. Okay, now moving on. Where is it? Yes. So this one is from a guy named Liam uh, Shellstead, if I'm not wrong. He's a 21-year-old guy, and this is a non technical payload, and he's basically, this is one of the postcard which he sent to the Mir space station, which you can see now. And he basically is a very a huge space enthusiast. And he has chosen to send a picture of himself surrounded by family members and friends with their signatures on the inaugural flight of Firefly's Alpha. And as a nice touch, he's also decided to attach a piece of his hair to the back of the um, photo of the family and the friends which he's sending, so that he's not going to space, but at least some of his part is going to the space. So I think that is very cool, right? So yes, that is the thing. The other thing which is going to the space is the non-technical one is the Henry the astronaut. This is a book which you can see here. This is the Henry the astronaut book going to the space. This is the this rockets, this long, you can say, the payload's main goal is to provide an a this is what you can say the author's main goal. Should say, first of all, the author's main goal is to provide an easy to learn source for children so that they can increase their knowledge of space at an early age. So this is a kids book, and by sending this kids book to space, basically what he's doing is he's letting the kids know that uh, the thing which you are the book which you are reading, the one copy of that has gone to the space. Obviously this will not be returning back for them to enjoy. But this will the reader will know that this book which I'm actually reading right now, one copy of it is has gone to space, and will inspire young children, young minds to pursue space. And his books are kind of targeted to young audience, and increase their understanding of space and rockets. So this is also cool, right? Now the next one is also very interesting, I must say. If you have not heard about this company, then you should be knowing. This is the Life Ship. This is literally, you can see on their website, send your DNA to the moon. This is kind of, this company is kind of like, the time capsule which we have, which we, kind of dig onto our backyard, or whosoever, community driven thing which happens, that they dig a hole, make a time capsule, and do, have some, put some things which are relevant of that era, and then you know how the time capsule works. So this is kind of like that. This is a DNA capsule going to the space. Their main aim, their this company's main aim, to send the DNA all over to the space, to the Earth. Obviously, Earth has the DNA, to space, to low Earth orbit, to the moon, to the Mars, to the solar system, to beyond the solar system as well. So this is what they are doing, and you can literally, if you want your DNA also to wander in space, or uh, go in and on a celestial body, you can do that. If you just select this send my DNA thing, you will be taken to their website, which says if you pay $99, you can send a one human DNA to the moon, or whatever you DNA on the moon. Right now it is DNA on the moon, and the cost varies. So it's also kind of cool for all those people who want their something to be preserved and when go to the space. So yeah, that is pretty much about it. Now moving on to the technical payloads. So for the technical payloads, this is of the interesting one. This is from the LibreSpace Foundation. This is the open source organization which they run. This is what I was, talking about. If you have heard about the LibreOffice, this is the free version of the MS Office, and they have this LibreSpace also. So this is the dispenser. This is the Pico Cube dispenser. Literally a very small satellite dispenser. You can see the scale of the satellites also here. This is a one satellite, and this is a dispenser. This thing is a dispenser, and this is a satellite. This is literally a one satellite. If I can have the zoomed in version, you can, yeah, this is the thing. And that the thing is to demonstrate that capability of dispensing the small satellites. And the small satellite itself has this things going on in here. So this, they are called cubic 1 and cubic 2. They will focus on exactly that problem, in which will conduct amateur radio communication, orbit determination, and satellite identification experiments by exploiting Doppler variations. So this satellite which is going to the space is literally for all those radio enthusiasts to play with the Doppler, study about them, have the to know the orbit about of anything. So this is what they are doing right now. This is an open source thing, right? An open source kind of work, like. And yes, this is that. Moving on to the next one. So we have next. So the next one which we have is the this, not the this one. This is from the AMSAT, AMSAT EA Genesis L by N. Okay, the satellites basically uh, w- will okay. They are the both those. They are two satellites named as Genesis L and Genesis N, and they will both support an experimental propulsion module. Um, and this will basically test the propulsion in space. And this is the coming from the AMSAT, which is observatory, I guess, non-profit radio amateur organization, which is kind of used to track main missions, which I have also known that Um, I have actually, pulled out some streams of China's launches. I remember the Tianwen, the Chang'e 5 landing from their Doppler variation. We were able to, look on to those things. So this is that organization which is sending this thing. Okay, moving on to the next one. The next one is this Hawaii Science and Technology Museum, HIAPO. This is their satellite. HIAPO is this is a one U satellite, which means 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter. This is a CubeSat equipped with a magnetometer to study the Earth's magnetic field in the thermosphere. So this is a very simple satellite. Will also allow amateur radio enthusiasts to track it around the world, and literally anyone can communicate with it. And these all satellites which I am showing you are kind of open source. So these people can't afford a launch service provider, so that's why they are going in with the uh, dream service for the Firefly Aerospace, which is very cool, but otherwise they won't have been able to do the things which you can see now. This is an interesting one. This is the Serenity satellite for the Teachers in Space Foundation. And this satellite will be used to the Teachers in Space program will be sending a CubeSat called Serenity, you can say. And the Serenity will aim to provide educational resources to teachers and the students around the world. After being placed in a low Earth orbit, it will be activated and will start communication. It hosts a suite of data, sensors, Earth-oriented cameras, and basically you can kind of say this will be used by teachers to share information as well as teach students about space and satellites and whatnot. So this is also kind of cool. Uh, Moving on to the next one. This is an interesting one. This is basically a commercial payload. There are not all payloads are from the Dream. This is a commercial payload from the Branchmark space system. And this is very interesting because right now what we have heard is we have heard the electrical propulsion system for CubeSats, right? Because that is what is feasible for CubeSats, right? Because they're small and can be and are efficient and can do the job. But the problem with the electrical thrusters for CubeSat is that they consume a lot more electricity than required, and that's why a lot of the more most of the time the CubeSat can't produce enough electricity to feed in the propulsion system. So that's why that is a problem there. And here we have the alternative for this. And this is basically runs on, this is a propulsion system, and this is the smallest warm gas propulsion system called Starlink, which will be used in CubeSats ranging from 1 kg to 500 kg. And this is basically kind of, you can say, a propulsion system but for a gaseous propulsion system, which means a chemical propulsion system. So CubeSats will be able to perform all the maneuvers with it, as well as will not require electricity at all to power it. Just to power the avionics, you will require electricity, but not the huge amount of electricity for the electrical propulsion. So this is a good in alternative which has come in the market, and they are testing it. So this is a commercial payload. The last one which I want to talk about is the most interesting one. What is it? What is it? This is a very interesting payload going to the space, and this is known as Spinnaker 3. And this kind of looks like a sail, right? And it is indeed a sail. This is indeed a sail. This is a Spinnaker 3, stands for 3-meter long shearless carbon fiber booms wrapped around a single hub. This is a drag sail, and this drag sail itself is used to uh, literally provide drag to a satellite. And this is, you can say, very large sail, and it's around 18-meter long. What is the benefit of this sail? Well, this is used to increase the drag of the second stage. So for this mission, the second stage will obviously the offer of every other rocket missions. We know that the second stage remains in the orbit until and unless some sort of maneuvers are produced, and or they naturally degrade and fall back to the earth. But the problem with natural degradation, sometimes the the active degradation, in which you literally kill off your orbit and then come down, that requires some uh, fuel, and that would result in payload capacity, payload penalty. But with this, you can achieve that kind of that effect, and reduce the amount of time you will spend in space. So basically, for this mission, this is going to the space, and this will be deployed in space for the second stage. And normally second stage would take around 25 days to naturally degrade around the earth and fall back. But because of this stage, this sail which will be deployed, it will take around just 15 days to degrade. So this is the the cooler part of this, and they literally have the onboard cameras, and we will be seeing this the deployment of this sail in action. Maybe not in the live stream, but definitely when they will kind of release some videos out. So yes, oh my god, this was really so cool, right? Okay, now if we have any other uh, we have the live stream. No, I didn't say Starlink. This is not Starlink. This is a Starlink. In place, you can replace K with G, and you will get Starlink. So that is the thing. Let me see if we have the stream, and I'll switch over to that. This is a very beautiful looking rocket. I'm very much looking forward for the launch also. Just a I guess, do we have any other update from? Yep. Yep. We will be having the live stream, and once we have that,
In August of 2020,
I will switch over to this. Fine. Looking great. Now, till then, I can have some questions. I don't know what is going on in the chat. I have not been paying attention to. Uh, okay. My questions were why there have been launchings taking place the last two times I have chosen to turn off the TV, because you are interested in it, I guess. And sometimes it's the bad timing. Other than that, if you have any other questions, guys, you can ask me, and uh, we can have a look at their other rocket also. And the most interesting one is their Gamma, which we should be seeing. This is literally the most interesting rocket. This is literally a rocket, guys. This is a rocket. This is a total rocket. There is no booster which is needed for this, and this is what they're working in for. This is a reusable launch vehicle, and highly reusable, 75% by cost. Optional, it can be air launched or ground launch, whatever suits the customers or whatever the payload capacity is. And why am I saying this is a single stage? You can see literally how the internal structure is. This is their two aerospike engines. Yes, they will be using aerospike because kind of it is like an SSTO which they are having. And this is their second stage engine. You can see this is the first stage fuel tank. This is the first stage LOX tank you can see here, and this is their second stage fuel tank. So I guess the liquid oxygen will be used from both of them, I guess, for the first and the second stage. But I do not have the proper information about it, because this is kind of a thing which took me by surprise, because I wasn't expecting that they are also having this kind of a program. We are literally kind of will be seeing some sort of SSTO to the orbit. So this is very interesting from Firefly. They are not only just going on with the launcher, the Alpha rocket, they have a Beta rocket, a lunar land, and the orbital tug and the Dream. Okay. Now, let me see. We have now, we're still waiting. Although, okay. There's sort of some lag coming. Okay, we have the. I'll switch over to.
Firefly has been fighting for this day for a long time, and we're finally here, launch day. This is an exciting day for Firefly Aerospace as we're about to conduct our very first test launch. But getting here has not been easy. If you followed our story for a while, you know that we've had to overcome a lot of obstacles and major setbacks to get here. Max Polyakov, a few friends, family, and I started Firefly about 4 years ago. Since then, it's been a non-stop technical and financial adrenaline rush. Rockets are the most challenging of machines to develop, and it takes a lot of money. But our
And guys, there is some sort of lag coming in from the source, and this is not from my end. So, like this one, this is not from my end. This is what they are facing.
passion launch vehicle ever built. We've engineered almost every part from scratch using the best modern technology. It is the world's largest all-carbon fiber structure rocket and is propelled by Firefly's innovative, patented rocket engine technology. Over the past several years, we've built and ground-tested a lot of hardware, leading up to the fully flight-qualified vehicle that now awaits first flight on the launch pad. Many people have asked me what to expect today. What's the probability of success? To be clear, the rocket on the pad is built to deliver its payload to orbit, 300 kilometers above the Earth. And my expectation is that it will do exactly that. Everything we've done from ground testing to computer models tells us that this vehicle is capable of reaching orbit. Having said that, it's a test flight. There are aspects of liftoff and flight that we can't fully test on the ground. Our computer models need flight test data to be more accurate. So success today means getting as much data as possible to improve our computer models and other design assumptions. I think the most gratifying part of today is recognizing how far this team has come. Firefly has an incredibly talented and hardworking team that has really gelled and come together over the past few years. We have a team capable of solving very difficult problems, persevering through setbacks, and following through to completion. In short, the Firefly team gets things done. We'd especially like to thank our partners at Space Launch Delta 30 and everyone at Vandenberg Space Force Base who supports launches from the Western Range. I feel incredibly fortunate today as we head to the launch control room, attempt our first space flight mission, and take a major step forward as a company. Godspeed, Firefly.
Godspeed. Hi, Lolmancy. Hi, Alexander. Everyone, welcome.
Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to a really, really exciting launch, a launch that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. I am surprisingly somehow your official host for tonight's attempt for Firefly with their Alpha rocket. This is actually a really, really big deal for me. I've been talking with Firefly for basically the entire year as to how can we stream your rocket together. And the coolest thing to me is that they came back to me, they reached out to me and we've been kind of communicating, trying to figure this out. But my favorite thing is they said, Tim, we just want you to do what you normally do. And we want you to just share a rocket with the world. And their level of transparency has been incredible. So I'm really, really excited to let you know that we're running the show here and we get to kind of just do what we normally do, which is a huge testament to Firefly. So thank you, Firefly, for trusting us with this launch. trusting us with this stream, which we know may be having some issues as we speak. Actually, that's probably part of the problem of trying to do things between different parts of the world at all at the same time. But the cool thing is, right now, as we speak, we do have a rocket on the pad getting ready to launch. So let's do what we always do with every time we get ready for a stream, because anytime you have any question about rockets and rocket launching, we
Okay.
have a solution on our website at everydayastronaut.com. You can click on upcoming launches, and you can click on our
I
pre-launch
guess
previews. And
I don't
today, if you check out our pre-launch
have
preview for this particular
more
launch,
of the
you will
work to
see
do
the
today.
Firefly
Tim will cover everything.
FLTA001 DREAM. This is the alpha launch. So let's go ahead and run you through this today. So starting as far as their launch window, as you see in our countdown clock in the top right-hand portion of your screen, we are sitting at T minus 50 minutes. That's today on September 2nd here in the United States. This will be September 3rd for those of you east of us. The launch window begins at 1 UTC and goes through 5 UTC. So they do have a 4-hour launch window. That is 6 p.m. Pacific time through 10 p.m. Pacific time. So that is their launch window. But so far, they're actually tracking the beginning of their launch window. We actually have, we'll be able to pull up mission controls audio later on for you guys.
Guys, don't worry.
Right now, it's all
The
internal,
thing is, on
but
this
they're
channel, that
actually
you
on
will get
track
your
for
questions
like
answered. So,
launch,
because we don't
beginning of the
have
launch window,
much
which is
of
I don't know
people
how they're
here,
doing
so
this. I mean, this is
whatever
the company's
questions you
very
have,
first
you
launch
can just type in the chat, and
and
I'll answer
everything
it
is
for
running
you. So
very
that is
smooth.
right now.
So
Everything
yeah,
is running. Everything is
pretty
going good.
impressive. Pretty impressive. I'm being told to reload the pre-launch preview one more time. And so this is the mission name for this is FLTA001, which is DREAM. That's also the DREAM mission. We'll talk about that in a second. This is Firefly's, as I mentioned, their very first mission ever. The launch provider for this is, of course, Firefly, the customer who's paying for this. There are actually several customers from all around the world, and we'll be talking about some of those in a second. The rocket for this is Firefly's Alpha rocket. This is their first rocket. Now, of course, they've got kind of bigger plans down the road, but for now, this is a very impressive. It's actually currently the largest small sat launcher that is hitting the pad out of this new crop of small sat launchers. It's a very ambitious rocket. We'll keep talking about it here in a second. Launch location, this is taking off from SLC-2 out of Vandenberg Space Force Base, USA. This is actually a really cool launch. I should have pulled up, I have an old picture of me running at a Delta II rocket in my old flight suit. And the picture was real from, it was Orbcom, or what, not Orbcom, it was from OCO2, which was a carbon observatory mission that was launched on a Delta II back in like 2014, I believe. And I took that picture from that mission. That's the only mission I've actually been to in person at Vandenberg. And I had photoshopped myself in a flight suit. So this pad, I've spent a lot of time there because that day I remember they had problems rolling back the old launch tower. So it's cool to see it stripped down here for Firefly, how simple and elegant they've made everything. It's really cool to see it modernized. That was an old launch tower and a launch infrastructure. They've just clean slate design. It looks beautiful. It's so simple. It's just really, really cool to see what they've done to that place. So the payload mass for this. So today's mission is going to be, get this, 92 kilograms and 92 how do I even say this, and 100.115 kilograms, so about 203 pounds. That is a pretty light payload, but it's, it is a demonstration mission. It's pretty impressive that they're actually putting real payloads on their first mission. That's telling you something. These guys they're ready to go. They are ready to go. So all right, this is so where are these satellites going? They are going to a 300-kilometer low Earth orbit at a 137-degree inclination.
Yes.
That's right. This rocket's actually going to be flying backwards.
Retrograde.
It's literally flying a retrograde orbit. So it's beyond high inclination. It's actually getting to the point where it's like flying. It'll fly backwards around the world. But this is a good demonstration for them. I'm not entirely sure actually why they're doing a 137-degree inclination. For those of you that aren't quite familiar with inclinations, if you were to fly at so right straight east, of
I
like if you're on
guess
the elevator,
they are
you see the
doing
stairs
this,
moving in motion right around the corner. But normally you're kind of waiting to
138
your
degrees in a
left
retrograde
as
orbit
say Kennedy
because
Space Center
of the
and the
FAA restriction, I
door
guess.
hits. You're fixed to
They
it.
are
You haven't
launching in
been
from
off
the
without doing
west
some
and
big
kind of
jumpy
would
maneuvers as
want
a 20
more of the
30
water in the areas. So
or
rather than going on
climb
to
towards
some
Alpha.
over
Around
the
a polar
land,
orbit,
they
although those
would
are about 90
rather
degrees
go
around
over
the north
the
and south pole. It's very, very
that water,
zeros.
and
So if you're
that's why
going
the payload
180 degrees
capacity
left, you
also
want
for
to do
today's
that
launch is
first
92
right
kilograms, and it
here. So about
literally can
150
have
feet of
around
inclination.
1000
Pretty
kilograms to
crazy.
the low Earth
Not too
orbit.
familiar with that.
So
But
retrograde orbit
also,
will
just for a
take
heads up
up
too,
that
we are
extra
aware of some
delta
of the
we
rooftop
needed.
frames
So
coming
yes, it
from
makes sense
Firefly
also.
to us. There's nothing we can do about that, but we have good audio, and also when we start switching to other cameras, you'll see some other views that are going to be absolutely worth it. I promise. Okay. Um, so the hold on. Okay, so my producer tells me that we might also still have some things wrong with the actual like core of the thing. We might have to refresh this feed in a little bit if it still remains choppy, but we'll give YouTube a little bit of time to see if it straightens out at all. But thank you for your patience. But we'll just keep going here for now, and if we have to refresh it in a little bit, we'll give that a try. So. Will they be attempting to recover the first stage? No, this is currently not a capability of Alpha. So the first stage will splash down in the Pacific Ocean. Will they be attempting to recover the fairings? And no, this also is not a capability Alpha. This is something that's something we've kind of got spoiled by, those of us that watch SpaceX missions. That's not actually normal, really, for any other launch provider. No other launch provider has even attempted to recover fairings so far. So as you would imagine, too, with a first demonstration mission, that would be a little maybe
Exactly,
too
Scott.
ambitious at the very beginning. Anyway, let's get
The
this thing
reason
flying. Let's
I
get it
just
working
told you
before
that
even trying
they
to do
can
any other
literally
tricks like
afford to
that.
do that,
So
and
these fairings aren't
I
new.
guess they
Weather is
are,
currently, get this. I have never heard this in my entire life. The weather is 100%. There is the weather report
that is
earlier
so
today
cool.
was 0% chance of weather violating range
But I
restraints.
must
So
tell
in other
you
words,
that I have
and
also
that's before
heard
even
that one of the
confirmation or
Atlas
anything.
5 launches I
It's
remember
everybody
also,
was like joking
had this thing
maybe fog
wherein there
forgiveness.
was
So
0%
yeah, it's the
chances of weather
fog is what
violation,
we
but
get.
that also resulted into a
Beautiful.
scrub
So
because of weather
yeah.
violation. So you never know, weather is so
So this is the
unpredictable.
first fly, the first launch of Alpha, the first launch for Firefly, second launch from Vandenberg in 2021, and this is the 86th orbital launch attempt of 2021. So, and then of course we have some more of this. But if you want to read more about this mission, what does it all mean? I kind of want to talk about some of the actual payloads
Okay,
on this mission
so
because there's a lot. So
you
let's see. There's some non-technical payloads because they actually let people submit ideas of things that they wanted to send to space on this mission. So, Liam, I'm gonna absolutely not pronounce your name correctly. Fieldstead gave a photo for this mission. So he's flying a photo. There's Henry the Astronaut book from author Jonna Ocampo is going up on the mission. There is also LifeShip DNA samples. This is a company sending up little DNA capsules of from two various corners of our solar system. So pretty cool idea. So that's another thing that's flying. There's also a handful of technical payloads. So this has the Libre Space Foundation Pico bus, the FOSA systems FOSASat 1B/2, the AMSAT EA Genesis L/N. Then there's Hawaii Science and Technology Museum, HIAPO. There's Teachers in Space Serenity.
right
And there's
now you
Purdue
can see
University
the rocket is
Super-3, which I
sitting on the
believe is going to be their
pad,
last
everything
payload
is looking
deployed this
good.
evening.
And yes, I was
Assuming that's
talking
okay,
about
makes
the
it to
west
orbit,
and
which
east
we're all cheering for,
rotation,
of
right?
course.
So
So
this is
yeah, go
launching
ahead
from
and
the
read through
west coast. So
this awesome pre-launch
it will
review.
take up
We do have
some,
one more thing that I wanted to talk about that's
uh,
really cool,
the
and that's kind
Delta
of where we're
V.
at right
Okay,
now.
let's have a
The
look
mission
at the
timeline's
mission
actually, and we
timeline.
can pull up a better looking version of this than what I've got so that we can read it a little bit easier on screen here. They actually began pad checkouts at T-minus 8 hours. And then they powered up Alpha at T-minus 7 hours. So this thing's been out there on the pad all day. At T-minus 6 hours and 50 minutes, they did sensor checks. At T-minus 6 hours, they did helium load, which is, of course, an inert gas that they use to backfill the rocket as it drains the fuel, so there aren't, any voids and it doesn't end up like crumpling. That's how you maintain pressure. Okay, we actually have something that we need to do right now on comms. Believe it or not, we're going to get official confirmation of our very first thing in our timeline down here. we're going to get confirmation of whether or not the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down from mission control. This is an official thing right now. Let's go ahead and listen in. Let's we're going to get confirmation here from mission control. So we're going to be listening into mission control audio. And I wanted to go ahead and get confirmation that the pointy end of the rocket is up and flamey end is down. That's what PEUFED is on our timeline. Pointy end is up, flamey end is down. We're listening in here. Andrew, I don't know if it's in program yet, unless they're just very quiet.
LD, this is CRS.
Yes, CRS.
I just wanted to confirm that the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
I love that. I love that. I love what? I love that we literally just got the pointy end is up and the flaming end is down confirmation from launch director Adam Oakes. That makes my day. That's like, how did that happen? How did that happen? Okay, that is hilarious. I love Firefly. This is so great. Okay, so back to what else has happened leading up to this point today too. At T-minus 5 hours and 15 minutes, they actually began loading RP1. Now, RP1, when they initially loaded into the rocket, it's just obviously kind of at room temp and at low pressures. And then at which is interesting because take note that T-minus 4 hours and 30 minutes is when they did pad clear. So you can actually have the rocket with propellant inside the tanks, with fuel, especially RP1, because it's not cryogenic. It doesn't need to be highly pressurized. They can just fill it to safe levels to have humans still around. And actually, like the Atlas V does that as well. Pretty cool with RP1 that it can operate at room temperature. So yeah, that's always fun. But then they do pad clearing before the LOX load in. So LOX load was at T-minus 3 hours and 40 minutes. So that's obviously why you start to see these cryogenic, the boil off here. You see all this, what looks like steam and stuff coming off of the rocket.
No,
That is actually
yes,
liquid
this is
oxygen
not
boiling off.
reusable. This is an expendable rocket right now, but is a very, very cool looking rocket because of its paint job. And the payload capacity, you can say to low Earth orbit of 200 kilometer is 1 ton. So this is not exactly the small sat launcher, but we would say small to medium sat launcher.
Very bad, very bad. So that is why you're seeing so much of that condensation boiling off of the rocket as we speak. And then we go into that's LOX load. So at T-minus 20 minutes, the countdown net is actually going to be going over the go no go poll. Now, unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to share that audio with you, but we will be able to pick up audio soon after that. So we will actually have mission control audio shortly after that. Stage ignites at T-minus 1 second and 79 something 1.79 seconds, and
Okay,
liftoff obviously at
I guess
T0.
there is some problem
Yeah,
at
that's
his
pretty much
hand
that. But
only.
I did want to show you one more thing from our pre-launch preview here, and kind of talk about this vehicle. So obviously, if you guys are on your phones or on your computers, you will see Firefly Alpha. And what's fun is we have a render here from Casper Stanley, who actually did a side-by-side comparison of Firefly's
Personally,
Alpha
I would,
versus, what I
would
consider
have
one of
wanted the
awesome
official launch coverage, just like what NASA spaceflight did for the Astra rocket. I would have wanted that. I don't know. This kind of thing, which Tim is doing is great. I mean, he's doing a great job, but it feels like, I don't know, we haven't been, what should I say? We haven't been able to, accustomed to these kind of things wherein a person is actually hosting their official live stream other than people from mission control. This is kind of new and okay, it will take some time to digest, but it is good.
Another thing that they do that's super unique on this vehicle is they run it on what's called rever
Yes,
engine. The rever
I
engine,
would have
what's
personally,
awesome about this vehicle
liked if
is
there
a
would
cycle type called combustion
Tim would
turbine.
have
So
done
this
a
is
thing
something
which
that's
in which
never again also
basically
never
which
flown
NASA
before.
spaceflight
Or
did.
never
They
attempted to
literally
fly
went
before in a
there,
vehicle.
you know,
The BE3
sat with a
engine
person from the
on
team
Blue
and
Origin
did a
Shepard uses the
proper
tap-off
official
cycle, but
coverage.
that is not an
That
orbital
would
rocket.
have been a
That is
good
actually, I
one,
think that might be the
I
first
guess.
tap-off cycle
I
next
don't know, but
generation
I would
of the Kármán line.
have liked
This is
that
the first
only.
time a company's attempting to use the tap-off cycle to get a rocket into orbit. The tap-off cycle is a really unique solution. It's relatively simple because you actually can remove your gas generator or your pre-burner from the engine, and you literally basically punch a hole in the side of your main combustion chamber, and you pipe that and have that actually be directed right at the turbine, which is what powers up your pumps. So the hard thing about that is normally one of the most difficult parts is, well, two things. How do you start that, right? How do you start your engine if it requires the main engine running in order to spin the pumps, and the pumps are what run the engine. So if the pumps aren't running, how do you get the engine running in the first place to get the pump spinning? Like, it just seems like one of those chicken and egg syndromes. What they actually do, though, is they will use nitrogen for the first stage. They'll use ground-based nitrogen to high pressure to spin up the pumps. They'll use that to spin through the turbine, get the pump spinning up to operational pressures. Once the engine is up to stable combustion, then that will take over and continue to run the
Yes.
pumps at that point.
Okay.
But the hard part about it, too, is that the engines typically run closer to stoichiometric ratios, which is a lot hotter than what you typically run a turbine with a pre-burner or a gas generator. Normally, those temperatures are quite a bit lower. You run them very fuel-rich usually, or sometimes, if you're like the Soviet engines, they would always almost always run oxygen-rich. You run it
I
far
guess
away
when I'll
from
do my
anywhere
own
near
commentary, many
stoichiometric, and that
people
allows
will
them to
say
be
that they would
cooler and keep the thermal
like
combustion
to hear
will
him.
not
So
melt. So
I
that's
don't know
another
what to
challenge.
do
Is
right
how do
now.
you solve that? How do you? And to be honest, I have no idea how they solved it. I have no idea how they make it so you can use the main combustion exhaust gas to spin the pumps. It just seems absolutely crazy to me. They solved it. It's a really cool solution, and they're using it on both their first stage and their second stage. So they also will use. They have a Lightning engine on the upper stage, and the Lightning engine produces about a third the amount of thrust, if I remember, 75 kilonewtons versus total of 300. Yeah, so I think it's like 3 or 4 times 184. So yeah, about 2.5 times less powerful, and there's a single one of those as opposed to the 4 Reavers on the first stage. But yeah, it's really cool. But in order to get that one started, now you might go, if they were using ground-based nitrogen, how did they get that started? The vehicle has some high-pressure helium bottles to spin up the second stage pumps, and helium is a better choice when it's on a rocket that needs to restart in air. Because it's a lot lighter than trying to compress nitrogen. Nitrogen, for the same amount of energy, basically, it's a lot more dense, so it'd be a lot heavier. So that's our pre-launch preview, and we need to thank Flo from our website crew for writing that pre-launch preview. Again, if you guys have questions, go check that out. I promise
I
you'll hopefully
literally,
learn a lot more than what I
thought
just
that
flashed
we
on
would
you.
have got
Which is
some
crazy because we're
coverage
already T-minus 30
like
minutes.
NASA
I'm glad
space
we
flight.
wait till
Otherwise,
the
I
end. If
wouldn't
that's
have
any
streamed this
of
only,
your
literally.
awesome, I
But
really appreciate all
okay,
the people that are asking questions. We will get to those,
we
I
will.
promise.
You
And
can
don't worry, we have plenty of time
certainly
for
ask
posts.
questions, and
And
I'll try to answer
I'm
them.
sure actually
But
we
right
should
now,
try
everything is
steering your
good. The
direction in
weather
a
is,
negative conflict wind
holding
direction.
up.
So that's
We literally
which
have
means that
0% weather
that's
violation.
a great thing.
So
So obviously,
that's
like we
good.
mentioned at
And
TX1, we expect mission control to get
right now,
from
everything is
we'll
looking
get into
great.
the terminal countdown. That's kind of what we're waiting on next, which is coming up in 13 minutes. But meanwhile, I wanted to do a little camera walkthrough with you guys because we actually have some really awesome cameras here for you guys, and I'm really, really excited about them.
Okay,
So,
let's see.
yeah, take a look at this. This is one of our main shots. Again, we do apologize that some of the frame rates are relatively low, but we might have to work some issues on the back end. But yeah, just enjoy these for now, and we'll keep going here. So this is another shot really close to the back of the strong back. And the flame trench, I believe, goes off from here to either the right or the middle. But yeah, super cool shot. The strong back is what lifts the rocket up and supports it as it awaits launch. Super cool. Next up, we've got another shot. This would be a cool shot to see the rocket go through once it kind of clears the strong back and clears the tower, basically, is what that would be. Then we've got another shot. This isn't the one that's tracking. Is it, Andrew? Oh, this one is. That's a close tracking camera. That's a very close tracking camera. That camera will actually move with the rocket and track it as it begins to ascend off the pad. So That will be one that'll be really fun to check in on soon after launch. All right, next shot, Andrew. This is also another tracking asset. This one's actually infrared, which is very necessary at Vandenberg because normally these rockets end up flying straight into clouds or through fog and you can't see anything. And tracking assets are actually valuable for the launch provider and for the range to make sure there aren't the vehicle's not having an anomaly. And if the vehicle does have an anomaly, it's good data to be able to look back on and see if there's, all the data, the better. And here is another infrared camera as well. So again, basically right back into having the ability to fly through clouds and all that stuff. This one's actually really cool. It's from like very far away on a separate mountain, and it's a little bit shaky, but it's also because it's very, very zoomed in on a long telephoto lens to be able to get that shot. That is also a really cool camera there too. So from the range assets. Now next up, we have a camera that I cannot wait. I cannot believe we actually talked them into this. And for those of you that watched, I actually launched or streamed when China sent a rover to Mars.
Flame trench cam.
We somehow stumbled upon trench cam, and ever since then, I have dreamed of this day when we can officially provide for you guys trench cam. So how awesome is that? This is full blown trench cam city. Like this is an actual camera right there. Trench cam, I can't believe it. We got access to trench cam. But believe it or not, Firefly, again, I'm not trying to butter their biscuits too much here, guys, but the level of transparency this company has had has just been amazing. They basically just keep saying, sure, sounds good to us. You just do your thing. We were asking if there's a camera that could show engine gimbaling. And we can't show this very long. We're going to show you a real quick little preview, but then we have to turn it off. We have engine cam. We have flamey end cam. That's all we're going to show you for now, but we will be able to show you that at ignition, which, come on. If that's not the coolest thing, what? Yeah, so that's awesome. Trench cam, and this is blowing me away. We actually had an official pointy end up, flamey end down check. We have trench cam, and they even took it another level up and took it into engine cam, into flamey cam. So flamey end cam, yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, so that gets us into waiting here. We basically have 9 minutes where I'm going to answer a couple of you guys' questions until we wait to hear about the terminal count. So I wanted to first just thank off all of you that are tuning in and that have decided to become members or super chats. Of course, that helps me pursue things like
guys,
this and try to provide streams for you guys as well. So thank you so much to members, members, and of course
ask
Patreon
me anything right now, so we can have some quiz session also here. So talking about the Astra launch, so yeah, as he said, Scott, okay, as Scott said, yes, there if you want, okay, if you want the official information, it's kind of official only that one of the engine failed. And
back into the Soviet rocket engine fiasco of me spending way too much time on it. But I do want to point out, don't forget this rocket is black. It's entirely carbon fiber. But you will notice that it looks half black, half white right now. And of course, that is because that's where the liquid oxygen tanks are. So the liquid oxygen tanks are what hold on to the liquid oxygen, obviously, and they're still black carbon composite, just like the rest of the rocket. But the craziest thing is that obviously that's really cold. Like I mentioned, it's almost minus 200 degrees Celsius. So that means that ice will end up building because there's obviously a lot of water vapor in the air. Ice will end up building onto it, and you actually have a layer of ice on the rocket, which is why it's white in those spots. So it is a black rocket, but when it's fueled up and ready for launch, that thing ends up being half black, half white, which is just wild to see. It's just weird to see the actual physical formation of ice on a rocket that's going to have a flame that would melt anything, basically, coming out of the other end of it. I just love that. I think that's super cool. So, yeah. So in Discord, someone said it's entered zebra mode. Hunter Cut says the rocket has entered zebra mode. That's how you know this thing's ready. It is in zebra mode. So
okay,
very,
so
very cool.
yes, talking about those things which has happened with the Astra, they are literally, it's kind of an official thing that one of the engine failed, and because of that, the force applied on the rocket was not totally, to the center of mass. There was obviously some force difference, thrust difference basically, and hence it tipped over. And when it tipped over, the engine started gimbal and tried to adjust it, and that was phenomenal, and that was really appreciable that they literally, the thrust vector control of that Astra rocket is incredible. They literally managed to do that. And yes, because of that, since they lost one engine, they were not able to lift off from the pad as they, would have, and hence the fuel actually burnt a bit first of all, and then finally the rocket lifted off. So that is what would have happened with the Astra, and it is kind of official, so you can say that. Right now, we don't know what caused that engine failure, but we do know that there was an engine failure, and there was kind of a blast near the fuel lines of the rocket.
Obviously, the whole goal of
Okay.
Everyday Astronaut is just simply to break down stuff that's complicated and try to make it explainable to you guys. Normally through long form content that is, has a lot of good visuals because I'm a very visual learner. But yeah, this is the ultimate dream for me. Having a rocket provider actually wanting me to stream their launch is just crazy. So, all right. So let's see.
Okay, so guys, what do you think about this coverage? I mean, I don't know about you, but I personally feel that official coverage is still an official coverage only. I mean, if they would have done what NASA spaceflight did, uh, I would have preferred that. I don't know about you, but yes, that is one thing. But right now, the Firefly is sitting on the pad. They are literally streaming the first launch. This is really appreciable on the part for the Firefly, that they are literally open to the public, and they want the public to know whatever is happening in Firefly. If they fail today, then also the public should know. If they succeed, or whatever happens today, they want the public to know, and I like that very much.
So when the first stage and second stage separates, the first stage typically ends up splashing down only 2, 3, 4, 500 kilometers downrange, depending on the trajectory and the mission. That's where the first stage splashes down. Now the fairing will remain attached to the upper stage, which will accelerate it a little bit more. But normally the fairings deploy soon after second stage engine ignition. So second stage will, kind of run for a couple seconds, or 20, 30 seconds, and then they'll do stage fairing separation. So those fairings are not yet orbital. Those fairings are still suborbital at that point, because the vehicle, it takes another 6 minutes or so of acceleration to get a vehicle up to orbital velocity. So because they ditched their fairings before they orbit. Oh, interesting. Apparently we're getting double face. Yes, it was. That was 100% my fault. We were seeing streams come up on my face. I am sorry. So anyway, so don't forget the vehicle doesn't actually get into orbit until much later on, several minutes later. So the fairings are still suborbital when they let go, which means they splash down 5, 6, 700 kilometers downrange. So they don't need to be tracked in space because they won't maintain orbit or anything. They will come back down 10 to 15 minutes after launch, and then become little boats for a little bit, and eventually be succumbed to the ocean, where they become a coral reef. So yeah. Let's try to get to a couple more questions.
Yes, Scott, that is what I'm trying to say. Because the official launch has their own, on person on there. So if somebody else is streaming, I don't have any problem with that. But at least have some person there. Maybe if he is streaming also, maybe have some other person from the team to talk about this rocket and answer some question. That would be so great. I don't know what is how this will uh, go.
1,000 meters per second, almost a kilometer of delta V. Is that right? Can someone let me know? I don't remember. Or is it only like 400? I don't quite remember offhand. I'm sure Discord will know. But yeah, the cool thing there is that that the Earth normally helps you get into orbit. Now, when you're going into a polar orbit, you actually kind of have to negate the rotation of the Earth, and when you're going into a retrograde orbit, you have to go opposite of the rotation of the Earth. So it's actually really hard. But remember, again, this rocket is capable of taking almost a ton, a metric ton to low Earth orbit, and and in that case, launching only 98 kilograms is nothing. So yeah. Yeah, let me see if I was right. 460 meters per second at the equator. Thank you, Green Cobalt and Discord. Yes, I was way off. It's not a full kilometer of delta V. It's more like 400 or 300 or 3.
I guess why everyday astronaut is facing this issue. This is not at my end, but his end, because he's actually getting a lot of streams from the Firefly itself, and then he's combining everything and sending over to YouTube. So yes, the network issue could be a problem here. That's why I just said. This is not at my end. This is completely from the source. Yes, I actually personally prefer that what NASA spaceflight did. What I'm saying right now. I know right now what has happened, actually it's not his fault also. I think Firefly just said you just do your thing, and he's just doing his thing. There the NASA spaceflight actually collaborated with them and did a stream which was more like an official one. So it actually looked good. Best to hear from the engineers from this company to get an inside perspective. The NASA spaceflight arrangement was better. The launch will be this. Okay, yeah, and I don't know what has happened right now. This is still literally not at my end. The buffering which you are seeing, you can see my clock. The timer is still on. So wait, let me see if there is a problem. I guess he'll just sort this out, and hopefully we don't get this problem at the launch. See, what NASA spaceflight did was, literally had the company streaming their launch, and then that streaming thing was going to their channel, and people were seeing. But here, what Everyday Astronaut is doing is taking all the streams which is coming in from the company and then streaming it on YouTube, which is actually taking his bandwidth, and that's why you are seeing this thing. Okay. Problem. Kind of, yes, but let me try to refresh it. In the meantime, if you have anything, you can ask me. I think it's working. Just wait. Loads. And it's okay.
Station that allowed them to continue tracking the rockets. They actually had to terminate their first launch, but they were close. They probably would have done it. Sans that, if Firefly happens to make progress for them, right? So we just want to cheer on any progress.
Go to
progress. But yeah, they're
Okay,
aiming
fine.
for orbit. They're going for orbit fully. It's really impressive. You have to think about all the extra details. The guidance and telemetry. Oh, okay. Poll is done. They are go for launch. That's awesome news. So we are now within terminal count. They're actually going for the beginning of their launch window for a new rocket company to be attempting their very first launch at the beginning of the launch window. This is super impressive. I'm starting to get chills here. This is awesome news. So yeah, that is super. I can't believe that. I'm sorry. I've been tracking this program for so long now that it's just hard to believe that they're actually going for it already at the beginning of the launch window on their first attempt. So let's see. Yeah, this is nuts. The enthusiasm on my end, guys. I'm sorry. I will probably move the mic when it gets closer to launch. I actually try to tamp my enthusiasm on air, believe it or not. I know that sounds impossible, but I get really when I've been working on this stuff, and following it for so long, you know, you get really wrapped up in it. Just like sports fans, you guys know what that's like. I guess I am a ultimate
Same with
space
me.
flight nerd, and I get really
You
excited
know
about this
me,
stuff
right?
as well. So
Never a rocket
yeah, I'm
launch
not.
happens.
I would never. Like I said, I actually try to tamp it down a little bit for you guys, but I'm starting to get chills just thinking that we're only 16, 17 minutes away from T0. This is crazy. So yeah, we're gonna keep going. So actually, that made me think about, you know, I've been following this company for a while, but the first video that I ever saw of them, they released about a year ago, I think, maybe a little bit beyond, a year ago, and it was them reaching out to ask people if they wanted to have their payloads flown. So Andrew, if we have that video, I actually wanted to roll that, and also I wanted to roll. We also have some really cool footage from them from some of their testing campaign, because this company has really, really, really cool stuff. So we're gonna pull that up here for you guys in just a second. Like I said, this was the first video I saw.
Making space for everyone has been an essential part of Firefly's vision and dream since the day we began. We've been working tirelessly for the past few years to develop Alpha, a game-changing small satellite launch vehicle. And finally, our first launch is within sight. I'm proud to announce today that we're extending the capacity of our inaugural launch to you. That means we've reserved a spot on Alpha for you to send up whatever dream payload you can think of. We're calling the flight opportunity Dedicated Research and Education Accelerator Mission, or DREAM Payload. We encourage educational institutions, startup space entrepreneurs, or any other institution that has big space dreams to visit firefly.com and tell us about your dream space payload. On the website, you'll find all the details and specifications you need. We look forward to hearing from you as Firefly marches toward first flight, perhaps with your dream payload aboard.
You can literally send anything with them.
So yeah, like I said, that happens to be the first video that I ever really caught of them, because they've actually been around for a while, but they had a restructure of their business. They used to be Firefly Space Systems, now they're Firefly Aerospace. They actually had a clean slate rocket. So they basically started over only about 4 years ago and got out to the pad this quickly, which is extremely impressive. Again, everything I'm talking about, by the way, is like unscripted. It's just me talking to you guys about this stuff, which again, thank you, Firefly, for even trusting me with any of this stuff. But yeah, so it's pretty impressive to me, again, as an outside perspective, to go from a clean slate design and a new company restructure to only 4 years later having a rocket at the pad. Honestly, super cool. They're based out of Austin, Texas, their headquarters. Oh, also good news is we can actually listen in. We're going to pull up mission control audio. So if anything does come up over the comms, we will hear it live with you guys. So we'll all be informed together. Again, another transparency thing from Firefly. They're giving us a listen in to their mission control. Super, super cool. There is actually a few more videos. So, you know, as Tom walked away there, you did see that there's...
T-minus 14 minutes. RC, please contact the range and coordinate to begin recording RF tapes at T-minus 10 minutes.
Confirm.
This field. Sweet. They're going for it. They're going for it. This is crazy. So
It is actually crazy.
okay, there was a few more videos. Like I said, they have an awesome set of videos.
We
for their
have
testing
seen so many
campaign.
launches, like
actually-
extra launch also and everything, and in which they, you know, okay, this is a static fire, I guess. Let's see this.
So this that you'll see is a startup of 2 of their Reaver engines.
So cool. Indeed.
Minutes. Ground side preparation.
Whoa.
CFAB and Cisco verification has completed. T-minus 13 to T-minus 10, we will now report action. In the event of an abort, we will perform the following steps. We'll confirm there are no fires around the engine, which utilizing siren by LT. There are no fires. We'll confirm vehicle health. Pre-valves are closed. Bubbles active. That's when vehicle verify other vehicle things. Confirm ground side health. Choose how tank is engine. Spin system active. Confirm that the range we're able to power down the
Starting to hear you.
We'll power off stage 1, stage 2 FTS.
I just wanted to kind of point out a few things here about these videos. So this is at their site, which is about 45 or an hour northwest of Austin, Texas, kind of in the middle of Texas. But this is one of my favorites because it is the all-up test of their first stage booster. That's the one that we see right here, right now. This is performed, I believe, last year. Now I wanted to notice the engine gimbaling there. I wanted to call out something interesting about the way that their engines steer. They're actually only single-axis gimbals, but because you have 4 engines, 2 of them can go on one axis and 2 of them can go on the other axis. So between the 4 engines, you actually have all 4 axes of control. Now this is also a little clip from one of their, this is a short duration static fire they had at Vandenberg Air Force Base on the pad just about 2 weeks ago, I believe. They did some static fire testing. I just thought this was really cool. Slow motion video. You gotta love it. You will notice there's a bright green flash at the beginning of the burn, and that is using TTEB. So they use the same igniter fuel that the Falcon 9 uses to light up its engine. And that's triethyl aluminum, triethyl borine, which is a pyrophoric fluid. So as soon as that comes in contact with liquid oxygen, it begins to combust. So it's a nice, simple ignition fluid. Super cool. So you actually could see that at the beginning of that attempt. So yeah, we're going to keep listening in here to comms. We're hearing a little bit of chatter. It's fun to hear some of that stuff about, like, you know, what if this or that happens? They're going over all their procedures. But we are within T-minus 10 minutes. I kind of can't believe it. Yeah, this is pretty wild. But yeah, real quick again, back to the engine gimbal. So I want to be able to use my hands to talk because that's how I normally talk. So basically you have a set of engines that can gimbal this way, a set of engines that can gimbal this way. And between them, you can do roll by having them all kind of gimbal opposite each other, or even a pair just gimbal opposite of each other. You can go, you know, pitch or yaw just by using a set, and, you know, basically together to be able to do pitch or yaw with those 4 engines on just a single gimbal axis. That's pretty unique. But it's one of those kind of simple things, like why put 2-axis gimbals on every engine if you can get away with only using one? You know, the best part is no part. So super cool. Man, yeah, again, sorry, I'm still just like, I'm trying to catch up to the idea that this thing's actually going to launch in T-minus 9 minutes and 40 seconds. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so this was again from Musical Wolves asking about Trench Cam. Again, I hope that you guys saw our camera walkthrough. Andrew's kind of giving you guys a little taste.
It looks like Wesley Crusher. Yes, many people say this to him. I know that.
Super cool. So
Okay,
really excited to
let me
show that.
just
Now that'll get
interfere in
obviously
between, I
completely
guess, a
smoked out
bit.
almost immediately.
See, countdown 1, range confirmed, recorders are on.
Copy.
So basically, they're tracking assets. The cameras are on and
Everything
recording,
is good
which is
right
a good thing, because especially when the vehicle is fueled up at this point, it is awesome to be able to see it at that capacity. So, all right, so this is a nice little fun thing. Best first launch stream from any company. Hope it doesn't go sideways. Yeah, there's been some, you know, the most recent Astra launch was unbelievable. I couldn't believe with the NSF crew doing that stream, the fact that the rocket made it off away from the pad and began to actually ascend was really cool. I was cheering like crazy. I was doing the disbelief sign, you know, like, what? As it was power setting off, it was incredible amount of guidance and control for that rocket.
Can we get stage 1 fuel tank pre-press?
But again, really excited that this rocket is ready to go. That Firefly is letting us stream their first attempt ever. Like, that's so
It's
cool.
up on the left screen.
Good.
Copy.
Go ahead and change that. Flight software takes care of it for what we want in the last 30 seconds, so you're good to support.
Cool. All right, let's keep going here. So yeah, again, this is from Alexander asking, how does retrograde orbit affect payload capabilities? So it can be, I think it's about, so normally if you're going from like a normal prograde orbit to, say, a polar orbit, you lose about 30% of your performance. I'm actually not sure. I think you still lose only about 30, maybe a little more when you go retrograde. I think you would actually lose a little bit more. But you, like I said, though, you do actually still negate your velocity, your rotational velocity when you go into polar anyway. But yeah. All right. this is from Kyle Jones. This indeed is their first orbital launch ever of their Alpha vehicle. Again, super impressive that they are streaming this entirely. I mean, I just feel like that's pretty transparent. I think as far as I remember, and I got corrected on this. The only other company that ever did that was SpaceX with their Falcon 1 way back in the day. Way back in the day, they did that. We had some people kind of asking about size and everything. I should kind of remind you guys of the size here. This thing is about 30 meters tall, so 95 feet tall. So it's like I said, it's a pretty good size small sat launcher. Andrew, I actually do have that chart pulled up here if we want to give kind of people a size comparison compared to some other small lift launch vehicles. But yeah, it's basically 30 meters tall, 95 feet tall. So it is, yeah, it's a good sized rocket. And it is, sorry. And then as far as width though, too, it's 1.8 meters wide. So it's on par. It's almost the exact same width actually as Virgin Orbit. But yeah, if you compare it here to the Falcon 9, you can see still how big a medium class rocket is. Quite a bit larger than these vehicles, but Firefly's Alpha is actually a very big small lift launch vehicle.
Okay.
As far as small lift launch
I
vehicles
guess,
go,
yes, I am seeing the comments right now, and yes, we would have wanted, a silence here, but I guess that's how everyday astronaut streams, so that's not his, a problem. That's how he does this stream. It's just that we are not familiar with him, so we're finding it a bit weird. But everything is looking good. So guys, this is the best part for any rocket company. I mean, we have seen Astra and we have seen so many rocket company, and I personally which have the first launch or the second launch or whatever type of launches which are initials.
Oh yes.
Attention all, any no-go at this time will be an automatic abort. Again, at the T-minus 2-minute call, any no-go will be an automatic abort.
In work.
So that was in work. So
T-minus 5 minutes, the strong back is secured in its launch position.
Wow. All right. So that is the strong back retract. Andrew, go ahead and check that off on the list. That is awesome. That's a good sign that things are moving forward on time. Kind of can't. Again, I can't.
Okay, is my sound coming right now? My sound is there. Okay, I guess my PC bit off some reason. Just coming back. If you can hear me, just coming back.
Thank you.
So they will begin engine ignition at T-minus just about 2 seconds. So
Completes doing its thing.
We'll see the green flash around then. And our clock might be a tiny bit off. We apologize for that if it is within a couple seconds, but it's good enough for now.
30 seconds.
PC verify alpha transition to autonomous mode.
Autonomous.
It's happening, guys. 30 seconds
Give the
remaining.
final 10-second countdown on the net with positive calls.
Okay, it's
Abort.
kind
Which we've
of.
aborted.
Oh. Okay, we have an abort. We have an abort,
I think
guys.
they're going.
Or
Confirm there are no fires on the video.
Are we?
See no fires on the video.
GC close world purges.
Oh, was that an abort? That was an
BC
abort.
confirm the following 3 valves are closed.
World
Okay,
bridge closed.
did
3 valves are closed.
Confirm helium bubble is
Abort.
active.
Helium bubbles active.
Confirm S1 fuel tank is maintaining between 30 and 36 psia.
Maintaining pressure.
And all other tanks are vented.
Vented.
GC confirm the following T-type tank is vented.
Barely in the terminal count though.
Vented.
Confirm TBC tank is vented.
Venting.
Confirm spin system is vented and cavity purges are active. BC verify the following. C Rio is in the release safe state.
Standby 1.
Spin system is vented, cavity purges are active.
Thank you.
Now, just a little heads up, guys.
Cereals in the safe state.
Friendly reminder here that
Confirm
this
vehicle
vehicle, they do have a
SSW
4-hour
manual
launch
state,
window, so
and
it's
the auto sequence.
not over yet. They had
Manual
something
state
similar
and auto
to this
sequence is complete.
when they did their static fire.
On
They actually were
CD1,
able
the
to
release
get 2
system
static
is now
fires in
safe.
during their
FTS
window.
confirmed with the
So,
range were okay to disarm and power down the ESAT.
And work.
CRS
So we're gonna listen here.
57 pad area camera scan.
Yes, sir.
okay, so we're going to let them work the issue here, and we will await to hear from them on anything official if there's a chance to reset today. Which there might be a chance to reset. Andrew, when you get a second, go ahead and put abort on the T+ clock. But yeah, that's obviously again, this is completely, frankly, expected on my end. I would assume that the very first launch, there's going to be a couple things that they need to just kind of tweak. And they want to be extra cautious again. You know, you don't want to just send the vehicle if there's anything that triggers any kind of abort, obviously. So they must have seen something that didn't quite look right. They're going to be going over all of their, go over everything and see if there is a chance to recycle today and go for a launch opportunity again. Again, remember, there is a 4-hour launch window today. But the fact that they got that far into the terminal count on their first time, of their first ever orbital rocket, again, was way ahead of my expectations. I can't believe we're even launching on their first launch day opportunity. There is a backup tomorrow if there is something that if they actually need to defuel the rocket and go out and tweak on it. That will be likely a scrub for the day. But if the vehicle's fine and the systems are good, they'll give her a checkout and they'll hopefully be able to repress and go for another attempt here this evening. So
guys,
fingers crossed,
right
we'll wait
now,
to hear
what has actually happened is we were down to T-minus 10 seconds or so, and then finally there was an abort called out from the mission control, and we had an abort. Right now we don't know whether actually basically what happened which caused an abort, but they were, you know, we were able to hear the mission control. They were checking everything is working fine or not. We are just waiting the official confirmation whether they will try again or not, but we can see the strong back is again on the rocket. So let's hope they recycle and we see a launch, because it's a 4-hour launch window today.
So hang on.
Whatever official confirmation we'll get from
I'm just getting
this
confirmation
channel.
here. Okay, we just got official confirmation that they are recycling and going for another attempt. Now we'll update our clock here as soon as we know. Andrew, this is actually probably a good time if you want to pull up a video here. I'm going to take a little break, do some tweeting, updating people that were waiting a new T0 time. We'll get back in as soon as we can. I'll probably just take a quick little break. And then what I'll be able to do at that point too is hopefully get a little bit more information for you guys. And so we can update you guys, but then we'll answer a bunch of your questions. So you guys have been awesome. I like that that again, Firefly's trusting me to just answer questions on the fly. Super cool. But I love that they're just basically treating it as my stream, and they're just allowing us to see it. So again, thank you, Firefly. You guys are awesome. So that being said, I'm just going to take a real quick little break while we wait to hear about the recycle and while we await a new T0 time. So don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Firefly is growing very rapidly. We're looking for new team members that are into the mission of new space. Going to space is probably about the hardest thing you can do. If you can achieve it, you've done what is seemingly impossible. We're not just buying other people's stuff and putting it together. We have to engineer all the pieces, parts, put them into assemblies, and test them for the first time. We have to solve problems that none of us have solved before. Firefly's goal is to build a rocket that can get small satellites to space. The kind of people I'm looking for here at Firefly are people that have fire in their belly, that have a passion for space, but not just that, they're people that have distinguished themselves in their career in academics. They know their subject. They're serious people who like to get things done. I'm not really hung up on getting people that are experts in rockets right up from the outset. I want people that are very technically astute and have a passion for space and can learn the things they need to know to build rockets.
The challenges and problems make you dig deep and think like you've never thought before.
I made the modifications for the thrust chamber to interface with the new...
You get to imagine things and try and make them a reality.
This place is fast-paced. You always have your next goal. We're always hustling.
At Firefly, you'll get opportunities to have a meaningful leadership.
Null unit, the thing is that right now Firefly is providing the official coverage to everyday astronaut only, so we don't have any other streaming coverage, and he's a kind guy. He did give the permissions.
That there's big business to be had in space. Its estimates are on the order of $3.2 trillion in revenue by 2045, dwarfing any other business.
Final configuration. Operator, please check NPT01.
Everyone at Firefly is partially owns the company. So if you come to Firefly, you'll get equity. If we become wildly successful, everybody's going to get carried along and you're going to do very well financially.
We're all owners of the company, so we're very motivated to get to launch. Even those who aren't going to be very rich are going to be very comfortable.
Firefly is in a stronger position than it's ever been. We have an investor that's dedicated to pay the entire bill to get us to space. We do need some more people to help us get to the next level, but everything is in great shape right now at Firefly. People are the most important thing at Firefly. You know, I'm the CEO, but I'm out in the field working with the team on building the rocket engines. We're just a bunch of guys and gals trying to do something amazing. You won't find hierarchy here or a lot of roadblocks or bureaucracy.
The culture's very sort of family-like.
Test execution. RE. Verify blue lines are met. Operator, stand by manual abort. Start camera recording and start auto sequence and provide a countdown.
Starting auto sequence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
50 minutes to take.
Firefly is great because you really feel like that you're putting your personal touch on this vehicle and on this system.
Just an amazing feeling.
Working here, you get an opportunity to work on something that's going to be very impactful, literally extending humanity's reach into the universe. And that's something, in addition to being economically secure, you can look back in your old age and be proud of and talk to your grandkids about.
Right, and welcome back. Unfortunately, we don't have any new updates for you guys for a new T0 time, but that's okay because we can use this time to answer some of your guys' questions. Again, I will try to do everything in my power to get to as many of these questions as possible, but with the amount of people watching right now, we probably won't be able to keep up with everything. We definitely can't keep up with everything, but if we have good questions, they don't have to be super chats, guys. We put up lots of just regular chats for you guys. If it's a good question, we'll try to get to it. But yeah, I really enjoy the fact that that we are able to just kind of hang out with you guys together. So it feels like we're all watching this together. So
Firefly was a really good TV series. Yes, Mark. And those who are wondering why the everyday astronaut is here, he's here because as Null Unit also said, he's here because we have Firefly has officially provided the coverage rights only to everyday astronaut. That's why he's here. But he's kind enough for all of us to have our own commentary over him. If you have any questions, guys, you can ask me, because there may be some questions which will be missed by Tim, because he obviously can't answer all of them. But here you can get your questions answered. So whatever you want to ask.
Into the launch window, so they have plenty of time left.
Hi, HD
So
Slim.
yeah, so just to confirm, I did see some people asking. Yes, Firefly, the company, is in Texas, and they do their testing. Their headquarters is in Austin, but they are launching out of Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. So they're launching on the West Coast. Yeah. So let's see. This is a good question from Crypto. Are there engineering camps so we can see the rocket after T plus like 100 seconds? We actually do have a onboard camera that we will be able to show once this vehicle leaves the pad. That is something we will be able to show for you guys. And the other fun thing about this too is, again, that we have the awesome tracking camera assets from Vandenberg Space Force Base. So we will have some of the best telescopes in the world pointing at this vehicle, and we are able to share those views with you guys. So yeah, so stand by. Again, hopefully if this thing does happen to go off today, we will be able to show you all of the normal views. Plus, there, of course, with any rocket launch, you do have moments where you are not over top of a ground tracking station. So therefore, there are moments where you don't have video link and data. So so during those periods, those are known loss of signal
So right now we have an update, guys. Engineers at Firefly are currently reviewing the ground and vehicle data from the first attempt and are evaluating the possibility of a recycle operation. So it's not right now confirmed whether the recycle will happen or not. They will announce once they have the proper, if they have, once they have analyzed the data. So we'll have to wait for some time and see. Again, this is a 4-hour launch window. So in my country, I've been awake whole night. It's right now 7 a.m. and I guess I'll have to be there till 10 a.m. I don't know. Let's see.
And Patreon members and YouTube members will.
You ever heard of gravity lensing telescope? Gravity lensing telescope? No, I haven't heard of them. How far can this rocket be viewed? This is an orbital rocket launch, so kind of the visibility range is wide enough. You can actually, if you live near the west coast, you can kind of see this rocket. So, but you just need to, look at the right direction to see it.
So, all right. Let's see. This is a fun one. This is from Astronaut Candidate Arthur Channel. This is 100 plus 6th grade students at Beckman Middle School with Todd Cohorst standing by waiting to watch Henry the astronaut fly to space. That is so cool. Todd's responsible for education outreach. CDC's mission microgravity. That is super cool. Well, hello to all of the students over there at Beckman Middle School. For those of you tuning in, that's very awesome. We're excited to hopefully see your payload launch to space today. Again, this is rocket science, and there are delays to be. Oh, we have a new T0, my friends, and it's not too far off. Actually, that's pretty impressive. Wow. Okay, they are going for a new local T0 time of 6:59. Interesting that they didn't just go with 7, but 6:59. I'm going to go ahead and tweet that here for a second. Give me 1 second. Wait, what would that be? That'd be 1:59 UTC. 6:59 Pacific, PM Pacific. That would be 1:59 UTC. Awesome. All right, so we've got the clock back to T minus 44 minutes and counting. That's not bad. That's a pretty quick recycle. That's good for those of us that are spaceflight fans. Again, for those of you, if you've been around before, watched rockets launch, especially test flight vehicles and first launches, I'm looking at you, Starship. You guys know what it's like sometimes when you're just waiting, going, is this thing going to launch today? And just that kind of those ups and downs. But you know that sweet and the what's the saying? The sweet and salty? No, the sweet and sour. There we go. You know, you have to experience the sour in order to enjoy the sweet. So sometimes having a vehicle scrub and kind of play with your emotions a little bit just make it that much more rewarding. That's at least for me. I know that's true for me. Like I have been to, I think the one that was maybe the ultimate for me to see in person was EFT-1. It was the first time that that NASA's Orion capsule flew on top of a Delta IV Heavy rocket out of Kennedy Space Center. And I think it only actually scrubbed one day, but that reset, I mean, it was a 24-hour scrub, but, you know, there's like a 4-hour window and we're sitting there going, is this thing going to fly? Is it gonna, you know, and just that whole thing. But by the time it took off the next day, I was like so excited to see it fly. I don't know, something about that. It's just a normal part of space flight. You guys, if you're new, you'll know. You might not be familiar with that, but those of you that know, you know what it's like. So, let's see. I'm not sure what all these mean, but that's cool. Let's see. Okay, this is an interesting question from Tanner. I'm just getting here. I was wondering why you think, or wondering what you think of replacing stage 0 with a magnetic levitation train angled up the side of a mountain to get some initial velocity. So we get asked questions like this quite a bit. You know, why don't they launch from a mountaintop, or why don't, you know, or air launch like Virgin Orbit does? The simple matter of fact is, you know, you have to consider the cost of what it takes to have. Well, first off, for a mountain, it's really considered a big no-no to fly a fully fueled rocket over populated areas. So you'd have to find a mountaintop that is right next to the ocean. You know, any good-sized mountain likely isn't anywhere near the ocean, especially on an eastern seaboard, right? So if you wanted to say launch from 3 kilometers or something on top of a mountain, that's a pretty big mountain. That's still not very much vertical velocity either. You know, you're still not. You're not getting any velocity.
Actually, the thing is, why do they not launch from the mountains? The simple reason is logistics. You need to carry the rocket parts up to the mountain, right? And the path to the top of the mountain is not very good. The roads are not wide enough, and the rocket parts may not be able to transport to that height. So the conditions at which the mountains are therein, you have maybe some less oxygen, maybe some colder temperature, and that's why what should I say, the productivity of the people would also decrease. So it's like, a trade-off which the people do. They need to do, first of all, whether, like Astra is a very small launcher, right? And it launches from the mountain only, you can kind of say that. And why does it launch? Because it's a small launcher and it can literally fit into a shipping container. So that's not a problem. It can be towed with a truck, and truck kind of can go through those mountainous paths. And okay, what the hell just happened? He just okay, he just did something. We are, for some reason, I think he just pressed the end stream button and have lost. Wow. Not about refresh now. We'll have another stream.
There's a lot of these considerations, and at the end of the day,
Okay.
the general consensus for everyone is it's just a lot easier sea level, even though you're not getting that extra bit of vacuum optimization out of your nozzles, and you're not getting any extra velocity per se. But that's yeah. So looks like we may need to have you guys. You guys might need to refresh. Some of this could actually be on YouTube's end. We've had this happen before, where YouTube, the stream aggregator on YouTube, actually kind of lets us down, and this could be one of those days. I was actually having problems with YouTube earlier on my phone even, so who knows? Refresh the stream here if you guys are having problems. It might be on YouTube's end for once, believe it or not, but you never know. All right, so let's
I
keep
live
going here with some of
13
your guys'
miles
questions.
away from this. Shelly says, yes, you will
Good
be able
question
to
here
see it
from
all
Gary.
right. You should
Shen
be able to
saying,
see it.
"Thanks,
Just
Liftoff. Thank
make
you very
sure
much."
that you
What sort
see
of
in the
payloads is
right
Firefly expecting
direction.
to fly in 2022
Pull
besides,
out
and how
the
does this
Google
compare to other
Maps,
providers?
point
So
out
again,
the
we did
location where
a
it
video about
is,
this here this
the
morning.
launch
They're
pad,
thinking,
and
so
according to
Firefly
that, there is a
can
compass
launch
also on the
into a
Google Maps.
sun-synchronous orbit with up to
According to that,
630
see in that
kilograms. Now, if they were
direction
to
from your
launch
home.
just a
Otherwise, you'll
LEO,
just
like
miss it.
a more of
You
an
may
equatorial
hear
orbit,
the rocket
they could
sound, but
actually reach up to a full
um,
ton to orbit.
you may not be able
Yeah,
to
which is
watch it
pretty
properly if you
impressive.
don't see
But
it in the right
they are limited
direction.
to
So,
630
yeah,
kilograms.
follow
That's
that
still
rule.
a lot. That's bigger than everyone else that has flown to date so far in the small sat launch industry, or has even attempted to fly, including what Astra is currently flying, what Rocket Lab's currently capable of, and what Launcher 1 is currently capable of. So again, going to sun synchronous orbit, which is basically like a polar orbit, it can do 630 kilograms as opposed to Launcher 1's 300. Rocket Lab at that is 200 kilograms, and Astra currently is, I believe, 50 kilograms. I believe 50 kilograms, but I feel like they actually, that
25
might be to
kilograms.
just Leo. They might be slightly, but I think it's about 50 kilograms. So it's actually a pretty good size. You can launch pretty decent sized small, not just CubeSats, not just, you know, smaller 1U, 2U CubeSats and stuff like that, and small sats. You can actually start getting into, like, yeah, the bigger size small sats, like, which is really cool. So they are tapping into a slightly the kind of the upper end of the small sat launch industry, and they can also stack multiple satellites inside of their fairing and launch multiple small sats. So it's pretty cool that they have that capability, that that it is on the bigger end of the small sat industry. And I think, you know, a lot of these companies are trying to find that sweet spot here. They're trying to find, what's the cost of this launch rocket? What's it cost us to make it and fly it and do it again every time? What's that actually cost us? How do we make that profitable? And most importantly, where are the customers at? How many customers are there for our capability of rocket? It doesn't make any sense to make a bigger, more powerful rocket if there aren't those demands and payloads. At the end of the day, sometimes just the bottom dollar matters most for some people, as opposed to capability. If you're not fulfilling that capability, why build it bigger, right? So so that's what all of these companies are kind of working on doing, is finding that sweet spot. Again, one of the things that I like about what Firefly did is the Reaver engine being relatively simple. It's simple and it's elegant, and it's very few parts compared to a traditional gas generator or closed cycle rocket engine. But you know, they still had to work some magic, like I was talking about earlier, because it is tap off. They had to make sure that the turbine can handle the main combustion exhaust, which is, they probably worked a little bit of magic to make that happen. But at the same time, at the end of the day, that's probably a relatively easy engine to work on and produce and go through the testing campaign. It's relatively small. It's extremely powerful. Its thrust to weight ratio is probably pretty great. The specific impulse of them, the sea level one doesn't quite reach 300 seconds of a specific impulse, but the Lightning gets, I think it's around 330. So again, you lose a little bit of efficiency when you actually do the tap off cycle, but it's, as far as being simple and easy to manufacture, without having to worry about a pre-burner and all that stuff, it should be a really good idea. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So 322 seconds says Flo in a vacuum. Thank you for reminding me. Let's see. Yes, sorry about, there appears to be some sync issues with my audio and video. We'll see. We have kind of limited capacity at this point. There we go. We're seeing some big puffs of gaseous oxygen. That is probably good signs of, you know, the recycle going forward. So like we said, we actually do have confirmation that the T0 is still up to date. And again, they are targeting 6:59 Pacific time, which is 1:59 UTC. For this next launch opportunity. And another reminder, they do have a full 4-hour launch window. So they, as long as they don't run out of fuel, because every time you do retop off a rocket, you typically have to pressurize it and kind of happy fully fueled, especially RP1, no big deal.
Yes,
liquid
we are
oxygen,
having some problem with the quality issues, not from my side, but from the source.
Kind of hearing some of that. So let's see. This is a good question here from Shikamu1 saying, could Alpha send things to the moon or Mars, or will we need to wait for version beta to fly? Absolutely. A small sat launcher can send things to the moon 100%. Can't send big things to the moon, but it can send stuff to the moon. Again, the Rocket Lab's Electron is actually already flying something to the moon, supposedly really soon. I think that's supposed to be here either this year or soon next year. but that's a small rocket, and that can actually get something to the moon. Now, again, of course, everything just matters on your delta V. That's kind of the range of your car, the range of your rocket. So if you need to go faster, which if you can go faster means you can get into a higher orbit, you're affected by how big your rocket is versus how far you're going and how heavy the payload is. So if you have a light payload, you can actually send it really far. Now, heavier payload, obviously, you have a lot more mass.
Actually, the thing is that to increase the delta V, you need to add an extra stage. So for the Firefly to send something to moon, they will need to add a third stage to increase the delta V. That is the main thing. And for that, they are working on SUV, as they say, the orbital tugs, in which they can have a third stage on the fairing, which will have propulsion system. So this will kind of, you can say, the rocket will put this into the high inclination orbit, and then finally the third stage will fire up and then take it to the moon, and maybe take it into the orbit of the moon by firing retrograde. So to go to the moon with this type of thing, a small set launcher, you need a third stage with the proper delta V, because otherwise with the second stage, I guess you will barely be able to go to the moon, and you won't be able to make it to the orbit for sure.
They all have to go right on launch day in order to actually get to orbit. So pretty crazy. Yeah. So let's see. So this is from Ali Angel 500 saying, how did you protect Flamey End Cam? Well, we didn't actually. That is actually one of the assets provided by Firefly. So they have their own, they have to make housings and have all these protective lenses and everything to have a camera anywhere near that close to the rocket, near the flamey end of a rocket. Yeah, you better believe it's in a nice big protective housing. So that is something that is proprietary to them. So yeah, we're just able to tap into that, and we're really thankful, even if just for a brief second. So this is from James Mays saying, I'm asking if I'm thinking about releasing the Soviet rocket engine family on the documentary circuit of film festivals. I don't think so. Obviously I want everything that I do on YouTube to be as highest quality as possible. I really take a lot of care in, how good this video is going to look, and especially the research that's been involved has been extremely thorough and making sure that it's done right. That being said, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'd fit the bill for something like that. We're not doing when you have normally like an hour-long documentary. If you took out all the little breaks and the little like music swells and the extra little going to this shot and then back to this shot, you probably could probably have it if you get down to just the brass tacks, like just the bare minimum of what's actually, the information being portrayed to you. And that's actually what this video is. It's just going to be an hour and a half plus of just basically a fire hose of information. If I were to try to make it into a dramatic, I thought about shooting it, and actually we talked about it on air a couple times about shooting it, in Russia, and trying to do a documentary style out of this video. This is not the right video to try to do that. I will hopefully still try to get to Russia someday. I really want to do like a more of a documentary style video that's shot in that way, about Buran and about saving Buran. So yeah, good. It looks like try refreshing your streams. Hopefully it's a little bit better. We're doing some stuff here, so sorry, just checking in with everyone here. So everything's looking good still. All right, this is I agree with this. Malawa 2 saying this is one of the most beautiful rockets I've ever seen. Miss your stream so much, Tim. Well, I'm back. Don't worry. I'm trying to just get into a healthier relationship with always streaming. There's a lot of awesome streamers out there. There's a lot of incredible YouTube channels that are covering streams really, really well today. There's a lot of them. I want to only cover the ones that, I don't want to be doing the 3 a.m. to watch a Starlink mission. No offense, Starlink and SpaceX. You guys are doing amazing things, of course, but I want to try to do ones that are new and exciting and just kind of pull at me, or I have some kind of relationship to, or that I can offer some kind of extra little bit of something, Otherwise it just sort of feels like, why would I stream? I would rather be working on the Soviet rocket engine video that I'm really excited about. Like every time you stream, there's actually a lot of work involved before and after that take away times and opportunities to work on something else. So yeah, so there we go. This is a good question here from Artem. What does PEUFED mean? That is
Okay,
pointy end
so
up, flame goes down.
Antonio says,
That
can
was
you please
confirmed
mention the
by
rocket
Adam
dimension
Oakes,
and
the launch
performance
director,
points?
on
Thank you.
comms
So
at 6:02
this
p.m. So
the
we
rocket
literally heard from
dimensions, if
mission
you ask
control
me, this is
them do a
29
call out
meter long
the pointy end
rocket,
is
which
up
you
and the
can
flame
say
goes down.
around 95 feet
Absolutely
long and 1.8 meter wide. So it's kind of a sleek rocket. And if you ask me the performance point, I guess you are asking the payload capacity. So it's 1 ton to low Earth orbit and 630 kilograms to sun synchronous orbit. So yes, that is the thing. Right now everything is looking good. They had an abort just before the ignition. We don't know what actually happened there, but right now they are going in for the recycle. We are T minus 28 minutes until the launch. Everything is looking good. We have like 4 hour window, so we just wait and see how the things will go. And in the meanwhile, if you have any questions or so, you can surely ask me in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. Hi, Mary.
SpaceX's Falcon 9 is from that T-tab, and I believe it's actually the aluminum, or is I believe it's from the aluminum. Is that what burns green? Aluminum? But if not, so yeah, I believe it is what burns green. So that's the green that you're seeing in that flash is from the T-tab, the triethyl aluminum, triethyl boron. That is their starting fluid, basically. That's their ignition fluid, and that is a pyrophoric mixture. So when it comes in contact with oxygen, it spontaneously will combust the second it comes in contact with oxygen. So they inject that into the combustion chamber. They start flowing liquid oxygen in there, and you'll get stable combustion reliably and quickly. So that's what T-tab is. And yeah, so that's and that's why it's green. Now, on the other hand, when Starship was running extremely lean, it started actually burning. You were seeing a very hot oxygen start to burn through metal components of the engine, and it was those same types of metal components that run that when they're being burnt turn green. So you're seeing for Starship when it was trying to land on, I believe SN8 was kind of the ultimate example where we saw a big green flame coming out of it at the bottom. That was not T-tab. That was not any kind of ignition fluid. That was the engine eating itself, and you were seeing the green flare of the engines. So, oh, the green is the boron. There we go. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, that's thank you. There we go. Boron apparently. And so yeah, copper for Starship would be what is typically green. And also you need to think about too, one of the fun things is on the Delta 4 Heavy and the Delta 4 previously the Delta 4 Medium, that use an ablative nozzle, which that actually burns bright orange, because when the carbon gets burnt, it burns bright orange flame. So even though the flame on the Delta 4 Heavy on the RS-68A engine, even though it's a hydrogen and a hydrolux powered engine, typically would be a totally clear flame, because it's an ablative nozzle, it actually does burn some carbon as it ablates the nozzle off. So it's kind of fun that you can see the different colors and different flames mean different things in different rockets. Sorry, that was a long. This is security's the trap. This I will take this as a serious question. If Firefly is successful, do you think Bezos will file lawsuits against him as well? So the current round of legal debacle in spaceflight, with specifically with Bezos and SpaceX, are things that they're in direct competition for. The human landing systems contract, as well as there's also some FCC filings that they're trying to get up in a tough about Starlink. And of course, that's because Amazon is working on theirs. They hope to do a satellite constellation as well. And I guess at this point, I'm not a big fan of all this litigation. Like, it's like, just build stuff and start flying, my friends. Firefly's out there hitting the pad already. This is impressive. In just 4 years, hitting the pad with an orbital rocket. Yeah, there'd be nothing, the lawsuits are at this point are becoming pretty silly. And I hope that at some point someone just says, no, let's start building stuff. And I think a lot of people at Blue Origin would also want that too. The engineers, the specialists that are out there trying to actually build rockets, I'm sure they're like, guys, let's just put this money towards building rockets. So I don't think there's anything that could be a lawsuit on this vehicle, because it's not in direct competition with anything. But yeah. All right, so
Okay,
with
yes,
the
Wildflower
geomagnetic
says, did you hear
storm,
the FA grounded Virgin Galactic? Yes, they did. And it is actually very funny to hear about it, because during that launch, we didn't even have a clue that there is something wrong going on at that point of time. That the red light has turned on and the spaceship 2 is flying out of its trajectory. We didn't even have a clue about it. The best thing is that the crew and the the passengers were safe, but again, the FAA has grounded Virgin Galactic right now, and obviously Virgin Galactic at that point of time, we knew how they have spent on all the fundings, on all the the PR kind of a thing which they did for that launch. So they actually didn't want any FAA regulations to hit that point of time. So now we are seeing something, and yes, what actually happened there is the Virgin Galactic, basically the pilot. First of all, you need to understand one thing, that the spaceship 2 is controlled by the pilots and not the computer. That this literally manually controlled, and the pilots are actually shown the instruction by the computer what to do. Okay, so this is kind of weird kind of a system which they are having, but that is what they are having right now. And so the pilots were responsible for everything, for flying the ship. And what actually happened, the FAA provided some areas where the ship can fly, but the ship actually just crossed that area and went into that area which was not allotted to them, basically. And the red light was on. So right now investigations are going on. Until the time they are not satisfied with the results, the Virgin Galactic is grounded. So this is what has happened right now.
I would have liked to do that too, and that was kind of an option on the table for us for a little bit, but I actually had to pull the plug on it just from utter lack of energy again at this point. So yeah, yeah. Andrew Johnson, we're trying, anytime the net comes up, I will be quiet, but we don't always have the net in our ear. So when it is on program and when we can hear it, I'll go silent as soon as I can. So assuming it's something important, especially. So you caught me there saying the best part is no part. I may or may not have stolen that from a certain individual. All right, that's
My motive for streaming the launches is, first of all, to share it with a wider audience. The other thing is that I want to simplify the things, okay? And many streams which I see, they don't they have this thing, they do all those hi-fi stuff, they pronounce all those, speak basically all those hi-fi stuffs about engines, the rockets, and normal people don't understand it. So my motive of this is to simplify each and everything, make sure that you know everything about a launch, because what I do is a pre-launch present kind of preview, wherein I talk about the rocket, the payload, and everything which is going. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me and I'll try to answer them. So this is what I do. And when I answer a question, I make sure that it is simplified to the best, and everyone can understand, whether they are coming from ground zero or they are at the highest level.
This is Conan James Evans. Hey Tim, would you rather see a Mars landing or a linear aerospike successful flight and landing? Man, that's a can't you can have both things. Those two things can exist in the same universe. So I'm going to say absolutely both, because I feel like they absolutely could both exist. Now, of course, if you don't know why, I love Aerospike shirts. I love Aerospikes. That's why it's on my shirt. Yeah, the Aerospike engine is just a really cool concept. As a matter of fact, Firefly was originally working on an Aerospike. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm wearing this shirt today. When they were Firefly Space Systems, their Alpha rocket was going to be utilizing an Aerospike engine. And that's actually how I heard about them first, was because of that attempt. Now, when they refigured and started with a clean slate on their new rocket engines, they went with the Reavers. Again, totally different engine type. Arguably, probably a good idea. I think you only want to pursue an Aerospike engine if you are borderline crazy, or if you actually have a program, a successful program running and you're profitable.
Well, he does not know that Firefly is working on Aerospike engines. Firefly is literally working on Aerospike engines for that Gamma rocket. I think he does not know about that.
But you now have 4 times more work and a finicky engine that has a lot more potential and a lot more parts that could potentially fail. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's the history of aerospikes. But I definitely want to see humans on Mars. Wait, it just says another Mars landing, not humans on Mars. You didn't say humans on Mars. You just said another Mars landing. I would, at this point, if it was between just like another, we'll say, Phoenix lander style or something like Insight, just a regular lander, not even a rover, I would rather see an aerospike personally, because that would just be really cool to see. All right. So, this is from Jesse. It's amazing to see new companies growing out and making this space race a monumental thing to see. Imagine seeing this many companies in the 60s trying to reach the stars. That's absolutely right. That's what I'm so excited about too, is that we live in an era. Oh, we apparently are go for terminal count. All right. We are back in it. They're still moving forward. We have official confirmation. Again, we'll be able to bring you guys the countdown net and the actual mission control audio is around. They'll probably release it to us around T-minus 15 minutes or so. But again, the next thing that we're waiting for is around T-minus 5.5 minutes or so. We should see the strong back that actually will pull away
Yes,
from
I
the rocket.
guess
That's
he
something that's
got
holding
this
onto the rocket
wrong,
right now, keeping it
Carpenter.
safe.
Aerospike is what
falling back
Firefly
a
is
little bit
literally working
away
on
from the
Aerospike.
rocket
I'll
in about
show you
2.5 minutes. That's what we're waiting for
their
next. But they're
Gamma
moving forward again
launcher.
for another launch
They are
attempt,
literally
again
working on
at
Aerospike engines for
6:59
their SSTO.
Pacific Standard Time, or
I don't know,
Pacific
but
Time PM,
he
which
may
is
not
1:59
know
UTC.
what
So again, just 17
Firefly
and
is
a half
working
minutes or
on
so.
right now. So I
yeah.
guess, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew's telling me that we
All
could
he
actually show
loves
the
is
static fire
Aerospike
video
engines.
with
Okay,
audio.
I may
I
have
didn't know
got
we
it
had
wrong
that as an
then.
option. How do we have that? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think at some point we will be showing the static fire video again too when we get the comms audio going. That would be very cool. So again, okay. Do whatever you want, Andrew. We're
O2's 3%.
15.
Oh yeah, we actually hear
Left
the
pressure Thursday
comms. This
board.
was
10,
from their static fire.
9, 8, 7.
What?
6, 5.
Okay, this is
4,
static fire, guys.
3,
This is static fire.
2, 1, 0. Burn, baby, burn.
O2's 9%. Diverter looks okay. Plan looks good. 12% O2. Give a plus count, please.
14.
Plus 15.
16% on O2.
Made it all the way.
I love that. I love the burn, baby, burn. So that was from their static fire, which was what, 2 weeks ago or so? Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And that was from their successful full duration static fire. They successfully did a 15-second static fire as planned with the entire vehicle stacked. Super cool. Yeah. So again, they've gone through this whole operation now. So the next thing left in the scheme of like, how do we launch a rocket for our very first time is once you light up the engines, just like they did, you let go of the rocket. There's actually 4 launch clamps that hold onto this rocket. And once there's good confirmation that all engines are running again, they get the engines running at about the ignition's about 2 seconds or so. Once the engines are up to full operational, everything is looking good. The computers will basically all automatically be like, okay, go, go, go. And then if everything is looking good, the launch clamp will just let go of the rocket. And then, of course, at that point, there's more thrust coming from the flamey end of the rocket than the rocket weighs. So the rocket will begin to ascend.
I guess I missed the null unit super chat. Thank you so much, null unit. I didn't know when did you just. I was just looking in. Thank you so much for that $15. Really appreciate null unit. And you are great. You are actually keeping this channel alive. Thank you so much for your support.
No rocket
Okay.
launch providers tried streaming their first attempts because typically, to be perfectly honest, they're typically pretty messy. A first rocket launch attempt tends to be pretty messy, but so we're going to be able to listen in here to the launch director, the launch director audio here in mission control. So again, I will kind of go quiet if I hear things on the net. But
T-minus
again,
15 minutes. The auto sequence is now synced with the countdown clock.
That's awesome. So, okay, again, just a friendly reminder, though, is that if this does not go as planned, it's still a huge
T-minus
milestone.
14.5 minutes. The engine chill has begun and FireX is configured.
Cool. They're progressing forward. So, so let's make sure we have a positive attitude as general observers of spaceflight. We get to still cheer for any progress and getting a orbital rocket to the launch pad for the first time. And even if it gets off the launch pad a little bit, that would be a milestone, right? That would be some
GC
data
for VC on ground.
That would be, a step moving forward. So, yeah, we're obviously hoping they have big plans. They're aiming for orbit. They're literally just going for it right away.
T-minus 14 minutes. RC, please contact the range and coordinate to begin recording RF tapes at T-minus 10 minutes.
Complete.
Okay. Some of the stuff will sound familiar. We had this, they're going through their checklist as they go down the sequence here. So we're going to be hearing a lot of call-outs about, recording, because it is valuable data to have video cameras pointed at, the rocket from all different angles. If there is an anomaly, some of those cameras.
Thank you so much. Just to say thank you for your patience, Rocket. This had been a difficult stream for you. I know it's been a weird day for me, for sure. So thank you so much for all your love and support. I really, really, really appreciate it. And right now we are T-minus 13 minutes. Everything is looking good. I just want it to launch in twilight. That would be a great launch. Let's see how things will go.
Ground-side preparations, including TBC, T-tab, and spin start verifications have complete.
So everything's still looking good. That's exactly what we want to hear. We want to see them continue to move through this process.
Everything is looking great.
Yeah, very
right
cool.
now.
All right. And this is cool. We have James Pettit out there, literally hoping to see it from his backyard. That is cool. Living on the West Coast, living in California today would. And actually, I'm not
We will
asking
now review
for
actions
scrub.
on CD1. In the event of abort, we will perform the following steps. We will confirm there are no fires around the engine, utilizing FireX as called out by LD. If there are no fires, GC will turn off the world purge. We'll confirm vehicle health. The pre-valves are closed. Helium bubble is active. S1 fuel tank is maintaining between 30 and 36 psia, as read on A1S1 CFTs. We will verify other vehicle tanks are vented. We'll confirm ground side health. The T-tab tank is vented, TVC tank is vented, spin system is vented, and cavity purges are active. We'll confirm with the range rotated disarm and power down the ESADs, and then we'll power off stage 1 and stage 2 FTS. We'll transition back to manual power. We'll re-engage the strongback via command changes on the hydraulics page. Error code 016 is expected in abort after T-minus 30 seconds. In the event of liftoff, operations team will move to the ground net and perform PRC MLP 1438, and RC will perform 1435 set operations on CD1. In the event of a hang fire, we will perform PRC MLP 8304.
Cool. Looks like we
Okay, so what
go
I was
for the launch.
talking about earlier for just a second is one good thing would be if they would have to scrub again later into the window today, we might see a beautiful twilight phenomenon where sunset out there is 7:30 and this is launching at 7. So if it were to launch around, say, 8 o'clock p.m., the rocket would be launching at nighttime on the ground. It'd be ground already, the sun would be down, it'd be dusk, and the rocket would be flying up, and it would actually get to the point where it's illuminated by the sun. And now, because it'd be West Coast, the sun would actually be back illuminating the exhaust plume, which is gorgeous. If you haven't ever seen a rocket launch that is being backlit, illuminated, it creates this beautiful thing called the twilight phenomenon.
on GSW9.
So yes, whosoever is lucky enough to see this launch in person, I mean, if you live near the West Coast, you should be able to see this launch. So do record your video of this launch. I would very much like to see it. So just tag me on Twitter @RocketGyan, and after this stream, we will watch all the videos which you have captured. So if you live near the West Coast and near the Vandenberg, you should go out and film the video for the launch. That would be so great, because that is absolutely necessary also, because if anything wrong happens, Unfortunately, then we would have got some, other camera angle which would have helped, which would help basically for us to analyze the failure. So again, this is the first launch of the Firefly Alpha rocket, and they are literally live streaming it. So don't expect much, but yes, just pray, just hope that they are successful. And if they are successful, they will become the first rocket with a liquid fuel engine to get into the orbit in its first attempt. So yes, now we are T minus 9 minutes. Everything is looking great. We are progressing towards a good countdown, and let's hope we have a good liftoff and a ride to the orbit. And in the meantime, guys, if you want to support me, you can do that by becoming a Patreon. Link is down in the description, or join the channel member by becoming a member. So yes.
Like I said, this does mean a lot to me to be able to be the official stream provider for them. I don't know why they're trusting me to do this. If you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm Tim. I don't work for Firefly. So the fact that they're trusting me to just talk about stuff, pretty nuts. Pretty cool on their end. Sorry, I was trying to listen to that. This is a great question here.
The pictures, I guess you don't attach the pictures on this chat, but you can definitely tag me on Twitter at @RocketGyan is my handle, and you can tag me there with your videos or the photos, whatever you have, and we'll see that after the launch.
Because there are other ones that we didn't talk about in that video, and I think it would honestly make a lot of sense to just make a dedicated video about how you can make a rocket engine run and the different cycle types. We can talk about tap off, we can talk about the bleed expander cycle and the expander cycle. There's a lot of different tricks up sleeves that we didn't even begin to touch on in that video. So it'd be really fun to do a comprehensive video for you guys, because the tap off cycle they're using here is really unique. And like I said, no rocket company, no rocket that utilizes the tap off cycle has ever made it to orbit. I don't even think there's been a rocket that's attempted to go to orbit with a tap off cycle. It is a very unique solution. And it's so cool that they're utilizing it on their rocket. Again, it's actually a pretty, as far as liquid fueled bipropellant engines, it is a really surprisingly simple solution. It's almost as simple like the electric pump fed and pressure fed.
F2 TBC wiggles.
That's stage 2. They're double checking that the engine up there in stage 2 inside the inner stage is wiggling. They kind of wiggle it. We can't see that visually, so that is a sensor thing. They might have a camera up in the inner stage that would show them that wiggle to confirm, but yeah, but I'd say tap off, as far as the amount of moving parts and everything, is about as simple as it gets for bipropellant outside of like pressure fed and electric pump fed. It's a really unique solution, and like I said, it's not the most efficient thing in the world, but that efficiency doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? You're really worried about how much does it cost me to make an engine, how much does it cost me to produce this engine, and to the research and development of this engine. Kind of that dollar per kilogram of thrust concept almost. And if you're producing an engine really cheap,
LCVC on CV1.
Go for LC on CV1.
We are looking good for clearing the LCC gate at T-minus 3 minutes.
Copy that.
Getting out the vent pipe.
Internal power. Strong back retrack operations will begin shortly. Arms are open.
Little spicy debate there of shuttle versus Baran.
Strong back retract.
So you can see now.
LCC gate checks for the T-minus 2 minute checks. T-minus 2 minute checks. Any
Inward.
no-go at this time will be an automatic abort.
You can see there the strong back retracting. Again, that's a good sign. So that's right on. So the next thing we'll hear is they'll talk about the flight termination system being
T-minus 5
armed.
minutes. Strong back is secured in the launch position.
Again, I gotta say, for their first launch attempt, it just sounds like everything's, they have such a nice order to things, and things are just running so smoothly. It's really impressive to see this for a first time launch ever.
Okay, this is happening. We just want it
see
to
a really good
happen,
question
and
right now
hopefully nothing will
from
go
Grant.
wrong.
I'm just gonna pull this up here real quick. Then we'll try to get back to some of the other ones. What is it exhausting off the rocket? So again, it's literally what you're seeing coming off is literally just boil off of liquid oxygen. So there's a lot of liquid oxygen on this vehicle, and when it warms up, it expands, it heats up, and it'll shoot out the side of the rocket. They vent it because when you take a liquid oxygen and expand it into a gas, heats up and it turns into a gas, it expands 1,000 times. So you can't have that inside the vehicle anymore, so you vent it out, and that's what you're seeing, and that's totally normal. Again, think of like opening a freezer on a hot day or something.
FTS confirm FTRs are active and ranges transmitting check channel 4.
FTRs are active and ranges transmitting check channel 4.
Note the Arm Enable 2 command must be received by the ESAD within 30 seconds of receiving the Arm Enable 1 command. FTS, send Arm Enable 1 command to all ESADs.
Arm Enable 1 command being sent in 3, 2, 1, mark.
FTS, send Arm Enable 2 command to all ESADs.
Arm Enable 2 command being sent to all ESADs in 3, 2, 1, mark.
FTS, confirm all ESADs are enabled.
All ESADs are enabled and armed.
In guys,
All right, so that it means the flight termination.
Repeating the same thing that this is their first launch attempt, so anything can happen, guys. So don't expect.
Copy, T-minus 3 minutes. Fuel bleed is starting.
So don't expect a full success right now, but anything can happen. We can have a full success, or we can have a good shows. This is still a technological demonstration mission, which you are saying. T-minus 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
So again, flight termination system armed. If this thing gets off the pad and starts to ascend, and if there is an anomaly where guidance doesn't work correctly or something, they have the option of aborting the rocket, which will terminate the rocket and make sure it doesn't fly towards Los Angeles or nearby Lompoc or Santa Barbara or something like that. That is a requirement for orbital launch vehicles, especially when you have this much payload and this much fuel on board. They have to make sure the public is safe. That is what the flight termination system is for. But yeah, they're going for it though. Again, guys, remember, this is their first ever launch attempt. So we'll be listening in here during these last 2 minutes for any kind of call out.
T-minus 2 minutes. CE has completed their final LCC. Checks for launch. This is the final commit for launch. CE.
Send it again.
Launch director.
Go.
LDA.
LDA, you go for launch.
Copy LDA. VC, please verify alpha transitions to autonomous mode at T-minus 30 seconds.
We'll go.
Send it again. I love that. That was referring to the rocket. He's saying, send it. And he had already said that on the net earlier, so saying, send it again. They're ready. They are ready to launch this thing. I love that.
And 30 seconds, guys. This is happening.
That was loud.
Some puffs going on. No launch provider has ever reached orbit on its first attempt. That is the thing. No liquid rocket fuel.
Coming up on T-minus 1 minute.
Rocket
60
has
seconds.
not reached in its first attempt. So 60 seconds, guys.
Oxic press has started.
Let's
Trench
hear
cams
in
looking
the mission control
awfully
now.
condensed there.
Getting it press right now.
To stop the count, operators please declare abort, abort, abort on CD1, and VC will abort the auto sequence. VC at T-minus 30 seconds, verify alpha transitions to autonomous.
30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds.
2 engine levels are at 2%.
Yeah.
20.
Minus 20. 19, 18,
Just that little bit of
17,
gimbal there.
16,
15,
15, 14, 13, 12,
Here we go.
11,
Good luck,
10,
Firefly.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Abort.
4, 3, 2, 1. 010 Zulu.
RC transition operation procedures to PRC NLP 1435. IT commits PRC NLP 1457. Report anomaly. Please confirm I have no fires on the pad. I have no visual. Please confirm no fires on the pad. Moving to ground.
I'm looking. I'm about to send them all to pad sweep. Cameras are sweeping the pad.
Plus 32 seconds.
Stage 2 pressure's
Drop
up.
call.
Prop is nominal.
Things are looking
Oh,
great
they're doing
right
it.
now.
GNC.
I'm seeing a dip in VMAG.
There's no fires on the pad.
Avionics.
Responding
Just
AVI.
hope everything goes well. Just have to wait for the max Q now. That's the critical part in the flight. If it passes it,
S1 pressure profile nominal.
we should be good then.
Avionics power nominal.
They're literally doing it.
Telemetry
First
is
ever
nominal.
attempt. This is their first ever attempt at going to space and going into orbit ever. And they're coming up right now on maximum aerodynamic pressure. That is the moment where the vehicle will experience
Plus 130.
the most amount of aerodynamic pressure. So this is when you're really testing your fuselage. Is it going to hold up? We are going through that
Second
right now.
stage.
So the vehicle is clearly holding up. That is a great milestone. We might even hear Max Q call out on the
Not
comms
yet
net.
supersonic.
Not yet supersonic. That's maybe not great. The vehicle, there's a chance it could be slightly underperforming, but again, we'll wait to hear official call outs here. But this, again, first launch attempt ever of this vehicle. It's unbelievable. They got off on their first try on their first day of their first attempt ever.
Would
This
be
is
underperforming
unbelievable.
because the plumes did
Again,
not
if they get
look
to
right.
stage separation, that's going to be a huge milestone.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Okay, we don't have the
Wow.
telemetry as of now, but everything is looking good.
That's a good
Anomaly.
Vehicle
Ooh.
is anomaly.
There has been an anomaly.
Move the anomaly team to procedure MLP.
And we have the cut, I guess. Guys, F's in the chat.
Shoot. Oh, man. Shoot. Oh, that was impressive, though. That was impressive. I was actually speechless. I just really didn't think they would go for it on their first launch window opportunity ever. Wow.
This was of
Wow.
another level. I must say that.
Everyone, just send Firefly your love and say thank you, Firefly, for allowing us to stream that. I mean,
That is
they
great
didn't have to
thing.
do that.
Yeah.
They did not have to do that at all. They absolutely just showed warts and everything. Give mad props. Everyone, just here in chat, just everyone say congrats, Firefly, because they did a lot today. They did a massive amount of impressive milestones. I mean, even getting off of the pad with your first orbital rocket is a huge, huge milestone. So I'm still incredibly proud of the teams at Firefly, and I'm again so thankful that you let us stream your first ever attempt. No one has done that in recent history. No one has tried live streaming their first attempt because they're normally pretty ugly. That actually looked pretty good. That looked pretty darn good. It looks like they were almost to stage separation. So again, huge congrats, Firefly. Everyone, round of applause in chat. This is not even a need for F to pay respects. But you know what? I'll let you guys go for it. Let's hear those Fs to pay respect for Firefly and the beautiful Alpha rocket on its first launch attempt. I was actually speechless, man. That was a great first attempt. That was an amazing first attempt. And so the cool thing here is they'll only learn from here. Think about how much data they just gathered about their rocket, how much
Exactly.
data they have now that will actually give them flight conditions of their engines, of their tanks, of their, of their helium pressurization, of their avionics. Actual data is worth.
And guys, the anomaly actually happened during the max Q, so that was one thing to be noted. And we'll do the flight analysis, guys. Just hang in there. We'll do the flight analysis. I guess we can do it now only. We don't have anything else to do.
Frankly, I mean, that would have been that just
Yes, I
really
remember Falcon 1.
like really has never happened for a first time for any rocket company. So again, hopefully they learned a ton. That is almost 3 minutes. Yeah, I did hear on launch call out there actually was someone that said T minus 4 seconds or so that someone did say aborted. So maybe they'll learn something that was off nominal. But yeah, it could have been a hot mic explaining something else too. So we don't need to read too much into that. I'm not going to be here to speculate what happened. We'll wait to hear from the official teams as far as what went wrong in a couple days. Give them some time to do an anomaly investigation and learn what exactly happened. But again, mad props, Firefly. You're literally definitely one of my favorite launch companies now for allowing us to stream and allowing the world to witness your first attempt ever. Mad props. So, yeah, let's get back to a couple questions.
Okay, guys, let's get to the flight analysis now and see what actually happened right there. First of all, let's hear if someone said abort at T minus 4 seconds as someone said. I guess someone was just calling out that you can say abort. Let's see.
15.
Here we go. Good luck,
10,
Firefly.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
What did he say? Was it abort? No. And first of all, if someone says abort, then you don't proceed with the countdown. So I think that was not a person, because that's in their checklist. If anyone says abort at any moment during the terminal countdown, the vehicle will not proceed with the liftoff. That is the procedure. I guess that was not the abort which we heard. We heard something,
8,
but
7,
we don't know.
6, 5, 4, 3.
I think that was pre-burn, I guess. That was pre-burn. So during the liftoff, you can see basically first of all, the RP1 and locks does not burn like orangish, right? Like the thing which you are seeing, right? They burn yellowish and not orangish. So I guess it was burning fuel rich. That's how you can kind of get that orange kind of plumes. But we'll see. Let's see what actually happened then. I guess the liftoff was nominal. There was no problem with the liftoff. Let's have a look at slow it down and have a look at it.
6, 4, 3.
Okay. At that frame, we were seeing that all engines lighted up, but were it good.
0100 Zulu.
Okay. Yeah, the liftoff was good, I guess. Right now, we'll see again just one last time to see if we can spot anything.
0100 Zulu.
RC transition operation procedures to PRC LP 1435 IT commits.
We could see there was some instability during the launch. I was able to see that, but I did not, comment on it because I was, you can say, expecting that for the first launch vehicle because they don't have the flight data. But other than that, the plumes are not looking great. Maybe it could be just the camera glare and the lighting conditions. Right now, during the onboard camera also, we were seeing those shakiness, which you can see on the rocket, which we don't see on normal orbital rockets like SpaceX Falcon 9.
1457, report anomaly.
And she said something, report anomaly. What did she say? Let's hear it.
RC transition operation procedures to PRC MLT 1435, IT commence PRC MLT 1457, report anomaly. Please confirm I have no fires on the pad. I have no visual. Please confirm no fires on the pad. Moving to ground.
I'm looking. I'm about to send them all to pad sweep. Cameras are sweeping the pad.
Plus 32 seconds.
Stage 2 pressure's up.
Drop call.
Prop is nominal.
Yeah, here you can see the background, how shaky it is. Normally it is not that much shaky, but here you can see that.
Oh my God, they're doing it.
GNC.
I'm seeing a dip in VMAG.
There's no fires on the pad.
Avionics.
Responding AVI.
And here we saw some sort of roll there. I guess they terminated because it was going. We'll see. Let's see the full flight first.
S1 pressure profile nominal. Avionics power nominal. Telemetry is nominal.
Attempt. This is their first ever attempt at going to space and going into orbit ever. And they're coming up right now.
The engine bay looking good. Is it holding itself? I guess it is.
Now
A bit shaky, but
aerodynamic pressure. That is the moment where the vehicle will experience
Plus 130.
the most amount of aerodynamic pressure. So this
but
is
the plumes definitely does not look great right here. But I guess the engines, I won't say underperforming, but the performance of the engines were like, on and off sort of thing. The performance, I must say, the performance was variable, because we can actually, if we have proper footage, since we don't have proper footage here, but from the onboard camera and just analyzing the plumes, we can actually get a lot of information about how the engine is performing.
This is when you're really testing your fuselage. Is it going to hold up? We are going through that right now. So the vehicle is clearly holding up. That is a great milestone. We might even hear Max Q call out on the comms
Not yet
net.
supersonic.
Not yet supersonic. That's maybe not
So
good.
not yet supersonic. So because let me just clarify this. Max Q kind of occurs when the vehicle is transitioning from the transonic to supersonic. So that is one thing. So once it becomes supersonic, it is kind of, you can say that it has passed Max Q, or it is just on the verge of passing Max Q. So point to be noted that he said it is not Max Q yet, so it was definitely underperforming. We don't know whether the thrust was the problem or the engines were not performing as per the plan.
Great. The vehicle, there's a chance it could be slightly underperforming, but again, we'll wait to hear official call outs here. But this, again, first launch attempt ever of this vehicle. It's unbelievable. They got off on their first try on their first day of their first attempt ever. This is unbelievable. Again, if they get to stage separation, that's going to be a huge milestone.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Vehicle is supersonic. Wow.
This started happening, and then okay, I first of all I thought that was just the contrails, because at the point of Max Q you get to those contrails, but right now what I can see is at the point when it reached Max Q, it became unstable, and then it disintegrated. I guess that's what has happened.
Wow.
Here we we can see the smoke, but this smoke we can't actually say anything from this smoke. This just could be the contrails coming out of the rocket. If you don't know what contrails are, you can say what we see in aeroplanes or the jets. We see that this um, leave a trail of smoke from the engines, right? Some sort of thing, same sort of thing, or you can say the similar sort of thing happens in the rocket. If when that altitude is reached and that proper environmental conditions are reached, some that sort of gaseous trail is also left by the rocket also. It's not a phenomena which is observed by jet only, but rocket also does that. But right now, which the smoke which we are seeing, we can't say anything for that. It may be contrail, but it happened during the point of max q, and during the point of max q only the contrails also happen. But right now, the initial speculations which we can see from here, it could indicate that vehicle did not hold up during the max q. That's what I can see right now.
Cool,
Everything was
supersonic.
looking good.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Now he said supersonic, so it was just crossing the max q there, and then this happened.
That's a good
anomaly.
From the point of explosion, can we see what actually failed here? Or was it the second stage, or there was a problem in the first stage?
Oh, that's a good.
Okay, so we can actually see the thing, this the explosion happening on the upper part, not on the engine as such, because the explosion kind of, rather than becoming a spherical here, it spherical around the engines, basically it pushed at one side, which may indicate the flight termination system was ter- uh, you know um, turned on or something like that, or there was some issue. Maybe those helium bottles, when they come in contact with the cold liquid oxygen, they tend to explode, which has happened with SpaceX Falcon 9 also during TRS-6 mission, if I'm not wrong. So during the flight, many things can happen.
Wow.
We can actually kind of, from the trails only, we can kind of see that the vehicle was not uh, you know uh, going straight. You can see that
Vehicle is
from here.
supersonic.
You can see properly from the smoke
Wow.
here, and then this,
That's
and then
good.
boom. It could just be the trails doing their thing, but uh, I right now just speculate that there was some problem with the max q, and the vehicle was typically underperforming as well.
There has been an anomaly.
Move the anomaly team to procedure MLP.
Also, the explosion was not so, big. I guess it is looking like this from the ground perspective, but did not look that big. I guess have to see what happened, whether just the first stage exploded. But if the first stage exploded, then the second also explode. It won't, hold up like that. Then just lost the coverage.
Shoot. Oh man. Shoot. Putting their ear off for like an hour. I've been fortunate
Let's
enough to
see.
have a handful.
Now, if we have any other speculations going on, and guys, if you have got some videos from your location, please share with me. I will. That would be a true thing to do right now for our analysis. You can share it me with @RocketGyan. You can just tag me on Twitter, and we'll see. Let's see what people not coming. Do have a proper this. This is a photograph, and from the trails you can see here The trails does not look, obviously they are not fully straight, but when the rocket is so close to the trails, they tend to be straight only. And here, you can see it did something and then just exploded. And what is this going on? What is this? Maybe just a piece for the second stage. This is this a thing? Is this a real photograph? If it is, then this is something which has actually gone off the. I guess they separated and then exploded. Is this the second stage going or what? I don't, because the trajectory of this second, I mean, the thing which is going is actually very, what should I say? Very interesting. Maybe they separated the stage and then had the issue. We'll have to wait and see. And normally during first ascent, that resulted in the loss of the vehicle, as the other information provided. Okay, so during the first stage ascent, that resulted in the loss of the vehicle. Yes, the vehicle was clearly underperforming at that point of time. The is not did not look great. The vehicle stations was a problem here. It was vibrating harshly. May happen that it just did not the max Q. Let's see what you are saying. Uh, Good launch, slow ascent, and not nominal delta V. Yeah. Saw it from the Morobe. Okay, if you did, if you have captured anything, do tag me here, because brief about the abort, just 45 seconds to go was little. That okay, that is just in their, the procedure checklist. They do these type of things just to make sure, people remember that even though it's been last moments to lift off and everyone is excited, if you see anything which is not as per the plan, just say abort. A quick reminder there. Pre-burn, it actually sounded like a pre-burn there, and got above the smoke from Phoenix. Just posted the pics of the explosion. Where did you post, John? You did just tag me on Twitter at Rocket. Far left in. Should base launch explosion. Okay. Pitch angle rate feedback. Maybe see this actually during whatever happened during the max Q only. At the time when it was just trying to pass the max Q. So we can kind of say that there was, and the oscillations and the vibrations could be seen just after the liftoff also. As the onboard from the onboard cameras, it did not look great from the starting only. It may happen that the resonance frequency of the rocket was, see, this is what is the problem, because this is what you can get only from the flight. The resonance frequency, how can you calculate that during a flight? You can have the atmospheric models and everything, but the resonant frequency is a thing which can literally damage your rocket, and you don't even, you can't do much about it. can only have the data once you have passed that regime, the max q, because at that point of time the rocket experiences the maximum of oscillations, the vibrations and all those things. So the resonant frequency and the engine underperforming and not performing at a proper rate could also result in resonant frequency, which could cause oscillations. So rockets and space is literally hard. That's why till now there is no a single rocket which is new and which has made to the orbit in its first attempt. Space is hard, man. Space is literally hard. No matter if you have been making rockets and engines from so much of time, no rocket has made it to the orbit first attempt, and we don't know what will happen to the Starship now. Starship is literally not trying to go to the orbit in its first attempt, but still it is doing something which can be taken as a similar note to the orbit. So guys, if you know, like the things I do, you can consider becoming a member, because right now, oh wow, the spaceflight did achieve. See, this thing which is going now, this is actually a thing which I am very much interested. This, you can actually see a fire beneath it, which could literally mean that the second stage is going to, they separated the stages, and then they were having some issues with the rocket, so they decided to separate the stage and then fire up the flight termination system, because it did look like one, because the explosion was not spherical. It was like pushed in onto one side and more, rather than covering the whole rocket. So that could happen at because of a normal explosion also. But this thing which is flying, that is a thing which which is very interesting to me. This could be a second stage going. We don't know. Obviously, and they could, they just want some flight data for the second stage also, so they decided to separate the second stage before terminating it, so that, and they would terminate it afterwards, so that they can at least get some flight data out of the second stage also. So maybe. Looks like one steam engine failed to ignite. We can't say anything. Can't say anything. Yes, right now. Because from during the liftoff, we could see if all of the four engines igniting. It may happen during the liftoff. One of the engines just shut down, and that's why they were not able to reach max Q at a proper time. This curve is not good at all, and obviously this was seen in the video also, and then this happened. Again, this thing going off. What is this? We are getting some help from the photographers, which I guess, yes, one engine is not running, I guess. Yeah. From this image, we can sort of say that there is a problem with the engine. Yep. Yep. We can see the thrust is actually just going, but at the time of liftoff we did see all of them, all of the engines lighting up. But here we can kind of see that from you, because why am I saying not the engine is not um, ignited at this point of time? Because here you can see the plume, how it just forms this sort of curves from this rocket, and here you can't see anything. I guess it lost one engine during the flight. Also too small to be the second stage. Yes, it can be too small, but that thing was far away from the ground, so Can't say anything. Shortly after liftoff, the one at the end of time burning. You can see this engine burning, this engine. Yes, one engine down. The launch. But during the liftoff, we were able to see all of them lighting. See, slow motion. They're still decrease the.
4, 3.
Okay, this engine running, this engine running, this engine running. Anything about this one? Okay, we did see some fire out there. These two engines are running. But I don't think so. The clamps would just release the rocket if the all of the engines are not burning. We did see that happening in the Astra launch, but again, I guess they should have figured that out and made some changes. We'll see. Now there is a right now all engines are running. Yeah, right now kind of we can say the all engines are running.
RC transition operation procedures.
Have to see, wait and see when the engine shutdown did happen. We did see something at that point of time, but right now
1457 reported anomaly. Please confirm I have no anomaly.
he's repeated also something about the anomaly there.
PRCMLT 1435, IT commence PRCMLT 1457 reported anomaly. Please confirm I have no fires on
I
the pad. I
think
have
he
no
was
visual
just reading
fires
out the
on the pad. Moving
book
ground.
out and the article
I'm
number
looking.
there.
I'm about to send them all to pad sweep. Cameras are sweeping the pad.
Plus 32 seconds.
Stage 2 pressures up.
Drop call.
Right now everything kind of looks like
Drop
every
is
engine is running.
nominal.
And there we had the shutdown, I guess.
God, they're doing it.
GNC.
I guess there we had the shutdown. Let's check it again.
Drop is nominal.
Oh my God, they're doing it.
GNC.
Yep. Now the engine
Yes.
is not properly.
There's no
Again,
there's no fires on the pad.
Avionics.
Or it could be that there's just one engine here only, and there are not. It's not like there are two engines here and two engines at the back. It could be like one engine here, one engine here, one engine here. So
Responding AVI. S1 pressure profile nominal. Avionics power nominal.
The
Telemetry
first
is
ever
nominal.
attempt. This is their first ever attempt at going to space and going into orbit ever. And they're coming up right now on maximum aerodynamic pressure.
And
That is
we
the
could
moment where
see
the vehicle will
something
experience
Plus 130.
the most amount
thing.
of aerodynamic pressure.
Yes, there is something happening here. Because the plumes here, we can see the rocket is actually having a proper plume here, but not here. I guess it lost one engine during the ascent, and that could very well explain why the rocket took its time to reach the
When
max
you're
Q.
really testing your fuselage, is it going to hold up? We are going through that right now. So the vehicle is clearly holding up. That is a great milestone. We might even hear Max Q call out on the comms net.
Not yet supersonic.
Not yet supersonic. That's maybe not great. The vehicle, there's a chance it could be slightly underperforming, but again, we'll wait to hear official call outs here. But this, again, first launch attempt ever of this vehicle. It's unbelievable. They got off on their first try on their first day of their first attempt ever.
But right now the things look like the engine is running.
This is unbelievable.
It could be that just during the flight, the path is like that, wherein you don't see the proper plume coming out at that part.
Again, if they get to stage separation, that's going to be a huge milestone.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Vehicle is supersonic.
And we just lost it.
Wow. That's a good
anomaly.
Anomaly.
There has been an anomaly.
Move the anomaly team to procedure MLP.
Something was still going on. That is something very interesting. Okay, so kind of we can say that it lost an engine, but not for sure. What we can right now particularly say is the thing happened during the max Q. What? Whoa, what just happened? This actually captures a lot more footage. Yeah. Try to cover. Whoa. This explains a lot. Literally now we can particularly say it. The thing happened during the max Q. The thing actually happened during the max Q. This explains a lot. Yes, this is a KSP moment. We know how during the max Q, in KSP also, how our rocket just goes out of the control, and it happened here only. We'll see it again, and then it just did some hard pitching. I don't know why. And because of that, the vehicle was still holding up. You can see it is still in one piece. Only thing which is having some problem is in the engine section. Otherwise the vehicle is still holding up. Not even the fairing is having any problem. And then it started to correct its orientation, which is so phenomenal, because going at that speed and you are not braking and you are seriously trying to correct your trajectory, unbelievable. See, it's just literally, it was like, oh, I deviated from my path. Let's go to my intended path. Literally corrected it. This is so cool. We actually didn't see this thing in the launch, in the official footage. And then obviously the engine had taken the hit during that point, wherein it lost some important parts or maybe damaged the engine because of those, and then finally this happened. It still was trying to this actually, this was a flight termination which actually did their thing. That's for sure. The vehicle was still holding up, and now the flight termination happened because this kind of explosion, I don't think so. They did that happened because of any problem within the rocket. This was just the range coordinator doing its job. What just went there? Just watch this footage all day. This particularly for sure happened during the max Q. Maybe the vibrations and all those oscillations at that point was not great, and finally this thing happened with Astra also, right? Astra also during the max Q it deviated from the path and finally exploded. Such a big thanks to Jack Bear from the NASA space flight for actually catching this footage. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known what had happened. This is a great, great, great footage. And that is not for sure. That is not a second. Yeah, flight termination. Yes, shows a lot of details. This was literally what actually happened was literally a part of thing where what we experienced during in KSP. Most of the time during max Q, the vehicle just loses its control. That's what happened here. Max Q is very hard, man. Max Q is literally very hard. Maybe both of the things happened here. It lost one engine, because of that it lost the thrust, and since it lost the thrust, the max Q if you have a good amount of thrust, you are able to go properly through max Q. Okay, it's like if you are going faster, if how should I explain? Yeah, if you are going faster, then you are actually having less chances of deviating from its path. Like for sounding rocket, it has extreme thrust to weight ratio. Because of extreme thrust to weight ratio, it does not normally deviate from its path, right? Because you're just going straight up and you don't even get a time to deviate from the path. But because of uh, not having proper thrust to weight ratio, that max Q thing happened. I guess that was the problem. I am totally speculating at this point, but there are two things which we can sure. There is one thing which we can surely say, that the problem happened during the max Q, but we can't say whether that was due to the engine failure or just max Q doing its thing. But literally, this is very incredible shot wherein it literally was able to recover from what it was going through. All thrust controls it. Yes, the thrust does not controls it, I know, but thrust does give a great amount of gimbal ability. If you have a good amount of thrust going out of from those engines, then you can actually steer a lot more properly, basically. Yes, it exploded, bro. So I guess this is it. It's been 8 a.m. now, and I haven't slept for my whole night. So I think I should go now and have a sleep. And then my whole day will go now. But this was a thing to watch, and you also need to watch this thing. So thank you so much all for tuning in, guys. And if you like what I do, you can consider become a Patreon. It really helps me to provide this kind of content. If you want to support me and my channel, you can become a Patreon or a member. I would really appreciate it. And just give this stream a like if you love this thing. And thank you all. Online class will start soon. I'll have to go to sleep now. This is my bedtime at 8 a.m. Okay. Next launch which we have is on 14th of September, if I'm it is the progress mission, the OneWeb mission, and then the Rocket 11 to start. So we do have some time now. We'll have like 12 days or so before any other launch happens. That is that. And thank you so much. What's your next launch coverage? That will happen 14th of September. That is the OneWeb. I guess I don't think so. OneWeb. I don't think I'll be doing OneWeb though. I have already said. If it is like a routine launch wherein I don't have anything to add basically, not a good payload. We know the payload. We know the rocket. Then not a good thing. Just stream it. But yeah. But I'll stream the Electron launch, which is also on link also. So thank you all for joining in. I really appreciate it, and consider becoming a member or a Patreon. Would really appreciate it and help me also to provide this content. Sleep is taking a toll on me. Yeah. Should definitely go. Fine. So this is it, guys. Firefly had a great attempt, and first of all, I would like to say that this was a great attempt from Firefly, and they were so open for this launch. My respect for Firefly organization has increased drastically, and no other company has basically made it to the orbit in first attempt. So not a new thing, because that crucial flight data you can only get from the flight itself. So let's hope the next attempt is a great success, will be a great success, and they acquire as much flight data as possible. They will have a root cause of what happened there. And thank you all for tuning in. Until then, this is Priyanshu Royla. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and